Sound like Ticket about to cook today. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the panel. Appreciate you for pulling up. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We've had a few episodes and we've came up with some topics and whatnot. But as we all know, it is Christmas time. It's the holiday season. So we want to give back to you guys, the viewers, and we want to make this show about you guys. So this show will be ran strictly on super chats. You guys send us a super chat, we will talk about it. Player's choice, the gift that never stops giving. That's us. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Ticket, you said you had something that you needed to get off your chest.
No, he don't got nothing he need to get off his chest. He got a problem. It's a difference. Ticket got a problem.
Yeah. It's not gonna be happy.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be happy for Marz because that Marz, ever since they gave you that little fake debate victory, you've been running around here. You like a little puppy that don't drop his nuts now, huh? You don't got some hair on your chest. You running around here making all these bold takes.
Hey Marz,
just something that bothered me.
You went in. You went in and out. Hold on, Ticket. You went in and out. You going in and out. You got to go in and out, Ticket.
Yeah. You said something that bothered me, Marz. I want you to hear me clear, right? You said something that bothered me. You've been running around here since they gave you the fake victory in the debate. And like I said, you got a little hair on your chest now. And now, you're poking your chest out, turning up on dudes in the chat. Stuff that you never did before. You picking your head up a lot more now, Marz. But Marz, you said something about the great Allen Iverson. It goes so far when you're talking about Steph Curry. But when you disrespect AI's career and said that stuff you said when I heard you talking about him and James Harden, bro, that was just disrespectful, bro. In no way, shape, and form, my brother, do I think that you should ever go on any platform again in life and say that James Harden is a better basketball player than Allen Iverson. And I'm going to tell you why right now. What you said was ridiculous, and I can just base it just off of just playoff performance alone. And every big moment in the playoffs for James Harden, he's folded under all those situations, bro. You can't name situation where AI folded in any situation, and when it was real. AI didn't come bring his game. We've seen James Harden year after year after year come up small, even up until last year. So for you to sit up there and say that James Harden is all-time better than Allen Iverson, I think that's a slap in the face. I think it's disrespectful, and I think it's disgusting because you never watched AI play. And I heard you talking about defense too, and you was trying to use that as your outliner as far as defense because you couldn't get him on offense. The one dude was cooking you when he told you that AI won all those scoring titles. You couldn't do that even though James Harden been putting up all these points. He don't got scoring titles that AI got. But if you know something about Allen Iverson, yeah, he wasn't such a great defender.
You're going out, Ticket. You're going in and out, Ticket. We're trying to get with you. The last thing we heard from you was great defender. That's the last thing we heard. Still there, Ticket?
Damn. I was getting cooked too. That was tough. I don't know what I was gonna say.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I do have Harden over Iverson as well.
Nasty.
He's clearly.
How's he clearly? We would all like to know before we get into these super chats. How is he clearly?
If you look at the game of basketball, there is not one thing that Allen Iverson does on a basketball court at a higher level than James Harden. He doesn't defend better than James Harden, despite what people seem to believe about AI's defense because of steals. He doesn't score better than James Harden, despite people saying he has more scoring titles, because that would also imply you think AI is a better scorer than Kobe Bryant. He is not. So
no,
the scoring title. Then don't bring up scoring titles because it's 4 to 3.
Hold on.
Kobe only has 2 scoring titles, so that would be a lazy.
Hold on, Ticket. Keep going.
That would be an extremely lazy argument to say someone with more scoring titles is a better scorer. We can just look at scoring efficiency and we can see it's not even close. AI in the postseason is historically inefficient despite the amount of points he puts up, whether he's with Carmelo Anthony or in Philly, where people only seem to count 200001 as the only year.
It's gonna be a body bag, Ron.
Yeah, once I finish, you can put me in a body bag. Once I finish,
hold on, let him finish.
Hey, Ron, call the corner right now.
All right, Ticket, I'm calling the corner.
Yeah,
I just muted him, Marz. Go ahead.
Ron, don't mute me no more, Ron. Call him.
Go ahead, Marz.
Ticket.
I'm calling it. Ticket. I got him right here.
Unlimited pressure on this boy. Call the corner right now, because I want you to line the corner, because I'm going to let him finish saying what he say. I'm going to smoke his ass. Go ahead.
Okay. Even if you look at 2001, the 1 year of AI's career that everyone who thinks AI is the top 4 shooting guard of all time, they all cling on to. In that playoff run, he had 1 series where he was above average efficiency, and he was barely above average in that series. You want to look at against the Bucks, he was historically inefficient in that series. Ray Allen outperformed him if you watch that series. You want to look against the Toronto Raptors, he wasn't great in that series. You could argue Vince Carter outperformed him in that series. You want to talk about against the Lakers, where he won the game that everyone seems to hype him up about when James Harden beat Golden State 3 times in the 7-game series. But no one cares about that because it wasn't in the finals. Even look at that series, he still wasn't very efficient. But I was against Shaq and Kobe. I'll give him the pass for that one. You go through the rest of his playoff career, historically inefficient. You go through the regular season, he was still not an efficient scorer. James Harden was more efficient by far. His game, even in the playoffs, where you want to say he underperforms, he was still more efficient than AI. The playmaking isn't even close. James Harden clears AI as a playmaker. He clears him as a passer. His offenses in the playoffs are so much better than Allen Iverson, wherever he was able to leave. Even when he was in Denver, the offenses in the playoffs and the regular season weren't close to what James Harden was leading. With or without Mike D'Antoni, James Harden was a better offensive player. So you can't even use the Mike D'Antoni tax. Even in Brooklyn in 2021, when James Harden was taking more of a playmaking role, many people were arguing that James Harden was the most valuable player on that team with Kevin Durant on his team. So once you look at James Harden's career and you stop focusing on, wow, in that game 6 against San Antonio in 2017, he didn't show up. Or 2018, he was up 3-2 and didn't win. And you stop minimizing players' careers to moments or series and look at them in totality. It's not even close that James Harden is a better player than
okay, Ron. Okay, put this boy on mute, Ron.
Yo,
and I hope you have a year supply of baby wipes. Because it's gonna be. I hope he have a year supply of baby wipes, because it's gonna be doo-doo everywhere. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is the reason why. This is the reason why little young whippersnappers like Marz, who just go all stats, who never watched Allen Iverson, cannot talk basketball. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me lay the smackdown on this Rudy Poo candy ass boy. Now, first of all, let's analyze something. What were those teams James Harden played with? Did James Harden not have way better offensive talented players on his team than Allen Iverson? Yes. Did James Harden play in a weaker era defensively than Allen Iverson did? Yes. Now, why do I say that? Because this clown said efficiency. Well, Marz, I look at wins and losses, and guess what? For the majority of time that AI was in Philly, he was going to the playoffs, getting out the second round, and losing to teams that either went to the finals, or the 1 year he did go to the finals, he lost to Shaq and Kobe, the greatest playoff team in NBA history. But let's look a little closer. Why was AI so inefficient? He was so inefficient, boy, because all the defenses keyed in on him, and he didn't have other viable offensive options that kept the defense off his ass. These are facts. Now, when you say ticket, what are you talking about? Well, why don't you go look at those years that AI had Aaron McKee, those years that AI had Dikembe Mutombo, those years that AI had Theo Ratliff, those years that AI had Matt Geiger. My brother, AI was averaging 30, and the second best player on his team was averaging 12, 11, 9.5 points. This is a reason why AI was so inefficient, but he was so great because he was playing great teams in the playoffs. These are facts, right? Now, James Harden, on the other hand, had all-time help on his team. If you look at those Houston Rockets teams, my brother, James Harden had CP3 a couple years. He had Russell Westbrook a year. He had a great role player in Eric Gordon that was in his prime. He also had good big men who could rebound and block shots, as well as AI did, like Clint Capella, who could give you from 12 points to 13, 14 rebounds per game, along with 3 blocks. Then you look all the way down into all the other role players he had. He had great 3-point shooters AI was devoid of all of this, boy. And if you would have watched, AI played in a tougher defensive era. Look at the guards AI had to play against that were all defensive minded, that were the top defensive players in the world, sucker. So when you put them against AI and they only have to focus on AI and they have to depend on him and his offense in order to stay in games, to have an opportunity to win games, because AI never cried about his teammates. He never cried about the lack of help that they put around him. He just laced them up, went out there and did what he had to do. Meanwhile, James Harden, boy, had the plate laid out for him, had all these other great players on his team, and he choked. He was up 3-2 in a series against the Golden State Warriors and had them dudes nailed on the wall. Had them at home with a closeout game, up 17, and he choked. AI would never do that. And against greater defenses, AI would never do that, boy. So first of all, when you talk about levels, you have to look at everything else that was around Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson had a great defensive team around him. He had a porous offensive team around him. So even if AI was getting doubled and tripled, when he kicked it out, he didn't have those lights out three-point shooters for the majority of his career like James Harden did. James Harden had lights out, knocked down three-point shooters, and he had other superstars on his team that can go get you 20 to 30 on any given night. Boy, so next time you want to say something stupid, I'm going to remind you to think. Because when you come at the big dog and you come at the king, boy, you best not miss.
Harden is still better than Iverson.
Lo, would you like to chime in?
Harden is still everything.
At this point, I want to hear everybody now.
Everything that Ticket just said, I mean, is borderline irrelevant. Even when Iverson went to go play with Carmelo Anthony, he still had inefficient postseason runs. Even when he played with more offensive help in Denver. Even when you're talking about
Who they lost to?
The Spurs and
They lost to a prime San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, and they lost to Kobe Bean Bryant. Is there any shame in that?
I'm not saying.
No one said anything about him.
Hold on. Let's look at James.
I said nothing about wins and losses.
But that's what it has to come to.
I'm making a criticism about your critique of him, or you trying to put context in his inefficiency. I'm saying that even when he was playing alongside talented help offensively, he was still inefficient.
Hold on, you mean at the end of his run? You mean after the 10 years in Philly? When you talking about those last couple of years in Denver? That what you talking about?
I'm talking about when he was
right.
Good.
You talking about the end of the 10 years? You talking about hold on. So let's get this straight. Let's get this straight, Lo.
No,
because I want the legend of winning. I want the legend of winning.
Yeah, he's talking about early first.
Hold on.
It's not even about
Chilltown. Pickett won all the smoke with the legend of winning because he's really the legend of losing. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Now watch this. So again, Chilltown, you know this. All those years of being a dude that's 6 feet tall to carry a team the way he carried them for a whole decade from Philly. Then at the end of that, you go to Denver. And remember, AI was a dude that played through injuries all those years. He wasn't taking time off like all these dudes is now load managing. He was playing through injuries. So when you do go to Denver, okay, cool. You keep talking about inefficiency, no problem. He was playing with other guys that was mostly inefficient, like my boy Carmelo Anthony. He wasn't the most efficient player in the world. But when you talk about guys like James Harden had snipers, knockdown shooters, and specialists around him at their positions. You're talking about a dude who carried the franchise. Hold on. So when you're a Hall of Fame, when you're a Hall of Famer, most Hall of Famers get in off how many great years in the league, Chilltown? How many great years in the league do normally you have to get in the Hall of Fame?
A decade.
To 8 to 10 years, right?
Yeah, a decade.
So let's take. So he's talking about after AI's in the league 10 years. A 6-foot dude who wasn't even supposed to do the things he was doing. He's judging him off of Denver after those 10 years. And then the only team he ran to lost to was Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, and those guys. That's it.
So let me finish what I was saying.
Go ahead, Lo.
Let me please.
Go ahead, Lo.
The point I'm making is that even when you put him in a situation where he had more offensive help, he still struggled. Even in those years when he was older, he was still able to average 25, 26 points per game alongside Carmelo. Right. So even though he was older, he was still producing to a level in which it was not too far off removed from what he was at before. So the argument of like him, somebody's echoing. I don't know what they're gonna, but the argument that like somebody that he didn't have enough offensive help around him, even when he got more offensive help around him, he was also still inefficient. Also, when people say that Iverson is inefficient, we're not comparing him to today's era. If you compare him to that era of basketball with the guards and forwards and centers and players, other volume scorers of that era of basketball, he's inefficient to that era of basketball.
So you hold on. So you think? Let me just on the record. Let me just on the record. So you think if AI, I just want to ask you a question. You think if AI played with the same type of offensive capable guys that Harden played with, you think he still be as inefficient as he was in Philly?
I don't know if he's as inefficient, but I don't think he's as efficient as Harden is. Harden's efficiency Harden has years of efficiency that's like peaking amongst all-time great volume scorers. I don't think Iverson gets to that level of efficiency. But even beyond that, even beyond the efficiency, bro, the level of scoring and playmaking that goes along with Harden as well is on the scoring is on par with Iverson volume wise, but then the playmaking is also better. You talk about how he played with great role players and supporting cast members, and I do agree that the supporting cast members in terms of offensive floor spacing is better for Harden, but still what he had to do, he's still carrying an offensive load on par with any other all-time great player, especially for what that team needed him to do on both sides of the floor. And then
let me answer that, Lo. Let me answer that right there. I'm almost done. All right, go ahead.
And then when we talk about the postseason success, it is really just 1 or 2 years. Most of the time, we're talking about a first or second round exit. We're talking about some of those teams did not have all-time.
Who was he losing to? Who did he lost to? Hold on. He lost to the Celtics. He lost to the Indiana Pacers. Hold on. I ain't asked you, little boy. I asked Lo. I asked the big boy. Lo. Hold on, Lo. He lost to Indiana 1 year. They went to the NBA Finals and lost to Kobe and Shaq. He lost to Kobe and Shaq in the finals. He lost to Kobe. No, bro, that's the year Kobe and Shaq went to the finals. 99-2000.
No. In the 99 postseason when he lost to Indiana, Indiana did not go to the finals in 99.
No, in 99-2000, ain't that the year they played the Lakers in the finals?
He lost to them back-to-back years.
He lost to them. What I'm saying is, even the year in which they didn't make the finals, he still lost to them then. So he was just losing to them.
Right, but that team, hold on, that team was better. That team ended up going to the final. Matter of fact, that Indiana team was good all the way from the end of Jordan's days, because that Indiana team was picked to beat Jordan in one of those years. That Indiana team was good from then all the way through that early 2000s when Jalen Rose went over there and they was playing in the NBA Finals against Kobe and Shaq, bro. So don't act like that Indiana team wasn't legit. They were picked to beat the Bulls. I'm not saying that. Hold on, Lo. You're not finna cap this, Lo. They were picked to beat the Bulls. Then let's go back and talk about this, Lo. Regardless of, take everything Lo just said, like The Rock says. Ball it up in a little ball, Lo. And I want to ask you a question, brother. Do you think that if you put James Harden in AI spot, he could do the same thing AI did with that Philly team?
Yes. Yes.
You a goddamn lie.
Yes.
Nigga, hold on.
Yes.
Hey, chill town. I'm gonna chill town. I'm gonna leave on silver platter for you, chill town. Chill town. I'm gonna leave on silver platter. He talking about a dude, chill town. He talking about one of the Joker in NBA history. Go ahead, chill.
I just want to make sure I'm clear, Lo. So he's taking Eric Snow, Raja Bell, Aaron McKee, Tyrone, I forgot his last name.
Tyronn Lue.
No, not Tyrone Lue. Tyrone Hill, Mutombo, Matt Geiger. He's taking him to the NBA Finals with that in that Eastern Conference, which by the way, in that Eastern Conference, which by the way was really tough during that time.
No, it was not. Chill.
No,
it's not. That's a lie. That is a lie. That's a lie.
James Harden ain't even gonna make it to All-Star break. He's gonna be like, man, get me the hell up off this roster.
Stop. If we talking about a tough conference,
we're talking about the playoffs. We're talking
about a conference that Harden is playing in, where it's not only Curry and the Warriors, but also KD and
I didn't say it was better. I didn't say it was better.
No.
I didn't say it was better.
But you're arguing about what somebody can do in contrast to what somebody did in that conference.
Correct.
Harden got deep. He made deep postseason runs.
He had better players, though. That's the point.
In a tougher conference.
He had better players, though. That's the point, Lo.
That conference.
That Philadelphia team. None of those guys on that Philadelphia team in any Houston team. In any Houston team that James Harden was on. Any one of them. None of those teams were worse than that Philadelphia team. Not one of them.
That conference was not good.
I'm not saying that. Listen, I'm not. What I'm not saying. This is no. It's not. I'm not saying that it was a bad. I'm not going to say that it was a bad conference. What I am going to say though, I am going to say that the Western Conference was tougher. However, to say that James Harden will be able to do the same thing with less talent in the Eastern Conference
in a worse conference,
in a worse conference, right? You're telling me in a worse conference against teams with better talent. So if you're looking at the Milwaukee Bucks with Big Dog and Ray Allen and Sam Cassell, so James Harden is going against
and Tim Thomas and Darvin Ham. Keep going.
So James Harden is going against that crew. So James Harden is going against that crew, right? So in 2002, when the Boston Celtics when the Boston Celtics have Paul Pierce, they got Antoine Walker, they got Kenny Anderson, they got Eric Williams. That's a damn good Eastern Conference team.
No, it's not.
That's a damn good Eastern Conference team.
Why do you guys only view teams' talent as offense? Because that Sixers team was a great defensive team. All you need is James Harden to carry the offense to be average, and they make the finals just like AI did. It's the exact same thing.
The point that I'm making, Marz, is that I'm not really wrapped up in the team thing more than I'm wrapped up in your logic of Allen Iverson being less of a basketball player than James Harden, because that's what it sounds like to me more than anything.
Yeah,
you think that he's less of a basketball player, and you basing that simply off numbers. Now,
I didn't say it's not. Besides efficiency, this is the issue. No. I get labeled as this person who only uses numbers.
No,
all I said was AI was inefficient. I didn't say one number. I said AI was inefficient. I didn't say any efficiency numbers. I said he was inefficient.
No,
I said James Harden was a miles better passer. That's not a stat. That's a fact. I said he was a miles better playmaker. That's not a stat. That is a fact. I said he was a better defender. That's also not a stat.
Right.
That to me is a fact. I didn't say any stats. It's not based on stats. It's based on what I've watched. And I've seen AI. I didn't see it live. That's cool. I watched back AI. I watched those playoff runs. There wasn't many playoff runs because he didn't make any because he kept losing. But when I did watch those playoff runs, I watched them. Allen Iverson, those Sixers teams, they weren't good offenses. Allen Iverson was making that offense adequate. They were getting through the playoffs in 0-1 because of their defense. You can watch that Bucks series against the number one offense in the league, the Milwaukee Bucks. The reason they won that series because of their defense. There was a game I watched Allen Iverson go 5 for 27 and they won. That is because the team's defense was good enough to get them through that conference with Allen Iverson being the main scoring option. It has nothing to do with Allen Iverson being a all-time great offensive talent, making that team better than it was.
Now let's cook your ass. Now let's cook your ass. Explain how James Harden is up 3-2 and has KD and all those dudes on the ropes. One game at home, up 17 and couldn't get it home, Jabroni. Explain that.
But this is
hold on. I ain't asked you, Lo. I ain't asked you, Lo.
But this is my problem. This is
Lo. I didn't ask you. I asked your son. I asked your son, Lo. I asked your son. Now, come on, little boy.
No, stop. If we just got done talking about how the teams are better that Iverson had to face, why is it all of a sudden that the expectations of Harden is to beat teams that are better?
The Houston Rockets were picked to win that series.
That made no sense. No,
the Houston Rockets were picked to get through.
No, they were
Look
not.
It up. Come on. Low. You forgot what happened. Low. Don't let me cook, Low. Low. Don't let me cook, Low. Hey, Low. If Ron, Low. Okay, Low. Watch this, Low. Hold on, Low. If Ron Googles it right now, hold on, Low. If Ron goes and Googles it right now, he will see that the Houston Rockets were picked to win that series and go to the finals and play the Cavs. That's facts. They were picked to win that series. Before the series, the Houston Rockets were picked as the only team that could beat that Golden State Warriors team and go to the finals. And guess what? They had them dead to rights before CP3 got hurt, and everybody saw it. They said it was the end of the Golden State Warriors. James Harden had a 17-point lead at home, up in the fourth quarter, and they choked. They missed 27 straight threes and lost that game because his sorry ass couldn't get it done. And then let's go back to last year. This last year, you're playing the Miami Heat. You're on the road. It's time for you to go get a win. This dude chokes and comes up and gives you 14. Then, not even the year before that, because we ain't going to talk about that year in Brooklyn because he was hurt. Okay, cool. Let's go to the year before that in Houston. The year before that, right? When he choked again in the playoffs. Every single time this dude got to the biggest moment in the playoffs, he choked. He either missed free throws, missed big shots down the stretch. All that efficiency went out the window because when it was nut cutting time, he didn't have it. And you, Marz, let me come back and cook your little Rudy Poo candy ass because you a little jabroni too. Once again, you talk all this shit about Allen Iverson. First of all, Chilltown was wrong. That Indiana Pacers team was a great team. That Indiana Pacers team was a competitor team all the way from the mid-90s all the way up into that 2000 era run when they went to the the NBA Finals and face Kobe and Shaq. In fact, they were picked to beat the Chicago Bulls. I think it was in 97 and 98 in the playoffs. Am I lying, Chilltown? The Bulls got through, won that series. They were picked to win that team. Reggie Miller was still on that team. And then they still reloaded. They reloaded and bought Jermaine O'Neal over there eventually. They bought Jalen Rose over there. That team was still loaded. They were good enough to go to the NBA Finals. And they gave Kobe and Shaq a run for their money, even though Kobe did get hurt, came back and helped close that deal. Now, let's keep going. Also, in the Eastern Conference, you underplayed Big Dog Glenn Robinson, Sam Cassell, Ray Allen in their prime. Jesus Shuttlesworth was a monster. Sam Cassell, hold on. Because I'm DJ Khaled right now. I'm going to keep going, right? So those three guys, along with Tim Thomas, along with Darvin Ham, along with Michael Redd, along with all them other dudes they have on the bench, that Milwaukee Bucks team was loaded. They were the team that was picked to go to the NBA Finals. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Am I lying, Chilltown? No, I ain't lying. Let the church preach. AI went through those guys. He went to a Game 7 and went through those guys, and that was not an easy series to win. That's a damn fact. And I forget who their big man was, too. They had Irvin Johnson as their big man. That team was loaded, bro. So to cut the crap, fool. Now, let's go to the other team. Let's go to the team he lost to. That Toronto Raptors team was a very good team, too. That Toronto Raptors team was winning 50-plus games. Vince Carter was a monster. Vince Carter in Toronto with the Raptors, those early years he was playing in the Raptors, when they battled AI in the playoffs, they were a great defensive team, and those teams were very good teams. Because guess what? Hold on, Ron. How many teams? Hold on, Ron. The year they played AI in them, how many games Vince Carter won that year? How many
47.
games?
47. 47.
Right, come on. Absolutely right. Now,
they were never a 50-win team.
Hold on,
They were never a 50-win team.
Hold on, low. I ain't finished yet. Let me finish.
That's what you said.
Let me finish. God. On that team, Vince Carter was averaging what that year, Low?
27.
Big Dog Antonio Davis was averaging what?
13, 14.
How many rebounds?
10.
And who else was scoring? Who else was on that team that averaging double figures?
Nobody else.
I'm saying who was Oak on that team too?
Oakley was. If I round up for him, he can get to 10.
Hold on. So the only two scorers on that team was Vince and
Antonio Davis. If I round up, for Oakley, I can, and that'll be 10.
Okay, but, so that so that's even. That's an even comparison, because you take what AI was averaging, and his next score was Aaron McKee, averaging 12. Cut it out. So once again, let me keep going, because you act like he just had cakewalks to walk through. Vince Carter at that time was one of the premier players in the NBA. Am I right or wrong, Chilltown? Let's keep going. Who else was in the East? At that time, who else in the East at that time, Chilltown? It was also
let's see, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, Indiana,
Charlotte,
guys.
Indiana.
Look at that trash ass conference, man. That's a trash conference. I don't know why y'all lying.
It's not true, Lo. You lying, Lo, because it's not trash. For you to say it's trash,
that was a trash conference.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yo, hold on.
I hate hearing that. That's dumb to say.
I got my man Fluent in here, and I need to hear from Fluent on two things. First off, I need to know if the Eastern Conference during this time was trash. Yes or no in 2001. Just around that time. Around that time.
Yeah, from 2000 to 2005. Was that a good conference?
In the early 2000s, comparatively to the 90s and the 2010s, the entire NBA wasn't as good as it is. So in context, it wasn't a great, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like a cakewalk. No,
let Low tell it. They were garbage. The Eastern Conference was garbage. If you let Low tell it, it wasn't.
It was not garbage. If you're comparing it to other eras, it wasn't strong.
So what am I supposed to compare it to?
In its time, it wasn't that far off. Like the West was better, but it wasn't like a big gap like there was in the 2010s.
But if you let Low tell it, it's just straight garbage. It was nothing but trash, straight trash.
It was all trash. Is that what you were? That's
exactly what you walked into, Tone. The Eastern Conference was garbage. That's what you just walked into.
No.
Straight garbage.
No. No.
And James Harden, they said James Harden. Hey, Fluent. They said Fluent.
I don't know what you're
hold up right quick, Ticket. Let me answer this.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't know what you're comparing it to, but you got to remember the early 2000s was like the lowest scoring era that we'd seen since the shot clock.
Thank you, Fluent. Hold on, Fluent. I want you to answer this, Fluent.
I did hear this part. You were talking about the Raptors, for example. Carter was averaging over 27 points. He did have Antonio Davis averaging, I think, 13 or 14. And yes, there wasn't anybody else or double digits, but he did have 4 other guys averaging 9, 9.3, 9.5, 9.8. That was actually a very balanced roster. Was it a great team? No, but 47 wins in an era that was very defensive-minded, low scoring. To have 7 guys in 9 points or more in that era, well, they were scoring 90 points a game. So yeah, pretty good.
Now, Fluent, hold on. Get to the real. Hold on, Fluent.
But if you let Low tell it, now we in an era. Now we're in an era. If you move forward a little bit with James Harden, we're in an era where the whistle blows a lot more, and these teams are averaging 110, 115 points a game. Not only because they're more skilled, but because the whistle is blowing a little bit more. But if you let Low tell it, back then we were garbage. The Eastern Conference was straight whack.
No, there's a reason. Look, there's a reason in the early 2000s. They made a bunch of rule changes is because offense sells tickets. Offense gets revenue. And they had seen a steady decline from 1990 till 2003, I think. The scoring went down every single year to the point where I believe in 02, 03, whatever it was like 91 per game. It was really low. And they're like, we need to change.
Very defensive oriented.
Yeah, we need to change the way the game is played.
I want you to answer the question.
The funny part is, hold on, Low, I see Low laughing. But dude, there was reports and stuff from the commissioner himself coming out saying, we need to change this and create more offense and make it a more free-flowing, open game like in Europe. That's what they said at that time.
So the question I have for you is do you think that same baloney that Low just said, where he said he thinks James Harden could do the same thing with AI's team that AI did?
Yo, Fluent, answer this, and then we got to get into these super chats.
Okay. So could James Harden do what AI did? And I would say no, but it's not because of skill. Because James Harden is a much more efficient scorer than he is. He has all the talent in the world, but we've never seen James Harden step his game up in the playoffs. And so if I'm trusting the leadership of James Harden to the leadership of AI, nah, I ain't taking that bet.
No, I'm saying I ain't even talking about that. I'm just saying from the level of players that James Harden had, the help he had versus the help AI had, do you think he could have achieved half of what AI achieved throughout those 10 years in Philly? The AI achieved with the talent, the lack of talent the AI played. Do you think James Harden could have did the same thing?
I don't have faith. I'll say the same thing again. I'll answer it the same way. I don't have faith in James Harden in the playoffs, so the answer is going to be no, because he hasn't shown me he can do it.
Birdman put that brother in the trash can.
I have the advantage of seeing him not perform in the playoffs. But if you just said talent and skill, and I didn't know, yeah, I'd say yeah, he probably could because he's
one last question I got for Fluent because I gotta handle this Marz stuff right quick.
Just for the record, when you say the teams were horrible in the East, like you're not talking record wise, because record wise they had multiple 50-win teams, 49-win teams. Like,
stop lying.
Fluent.
Stop lying. Can we stop lying?
No, just so you know, you do know multiple is more than one, right? You do know that, Lo.
How many?
Just so we clear. He said multiple 50 wins.
I'm about to ask a question.
That's more than one.
I'm about to ask a question. Between 2000 to 2005, how many 60-win teams were in the West?
Between 2000 and 2005, I'd probably say one, maybe.
I'm gonna say
it was one.
Okay.
Between
I was gonna say three.
I was right.
Between that time, how frequent did we see 50-win teams? Because 50
in the Western Conference?
No, in the East.
In the Eastern Conference?
How often? On a year-to-year basis.
You probably have 2 or 3 every year.
Yeah.
But again, hold on, understand that is a outcome of having evenly matched teams that were very defensive minded. So when you're playing slow pace 90-point, 80-point games, the teams don't typically go on runs. There was no great
slow cook them.
The Western Conference is playing in that exact same era.
Correct.
And somehow they can manifest 6 50-win teams. Somehow they can get 2 60-win teams
because
in the
West
season.
There was a very different style of play in the West.
They can still somehow, some way. I mean, there's a year in 2003. There was only one 50-win team.
Right.
Some of these teams that y'all are talking about were average defensive units. Like he just sat there and said about the Milwaukee Bucks. They were an average defensive team when Allen Iverson.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
So
how many teams in the East were giving up over 100 points per game in that same era?
Nobody was giving up 100 points.
That's the point, then, Low.
In the West,
No.
That's
the point, Low.
It was a different style, which allows for teams fast-paced to win regular season games.
And your logic that they're playing in the same conference, and they're not the same conference. They're playing in the same league. Is it your suggestion that the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference played the same as the New York Knicks? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me that they play with that same pace and that same speed? Are you telling me that?
Let me ask you this. How many teams do you think were allowing 100 points back then? In the league as a whole, how many points?
There was probably 2 or 3, and they were always in the West.
So you're telling me those 2 to 3 teams in the Western Conference tips the scale so much so that you think is an accurate depiction to claim that Western Conference teams, the 15 teams in the West, there's so many 100-point games that are being scored in the West because of 2 teams?
So why is it? So if that's the case,
but we've admitted that the West was better, but the East wasn't trash.
Which is the point? Which is the point right there, Lo?
Just because one thing is better doesn't make just because you like Coke better, it doesn't make Pepsi shit.
Garbage. That's the point right there, Lo.
It's just I like Coke
and
better.
That's what we were dealing with. That was the point that we were dealing with right from the beginning when you and I first had this conversation. Now, I never said that the West wasn't better. What I'm not trying to hear from you is that the Eastern Conference was garbage. That's not true.
I am comparing it throughout 20 years before and 20 years after. It is unequivocally true.
20 years before and 20 years after.
I'm about to, if you go from 1980 up until 2020, it is unequivocally true
that the East has been worse than the West. Absolutely.
No. It is unequivocally true. The 5-year stretch in the early 2000s in the Eastern Conference is the worst 5-year stretch from the early 80s, and that's East and West.
Worst by what?
The standard in which it took to be a playoff team. How many 50-win teams are in the
So you're saying 2000 2005. Hold on. You're saying 2000 2005 was worse than the first 5 years of the 80s where sub 500 teams were making the playoffs every year?
Like the San Antonio Spurs, who was 6 games under 500.
You heard one thing that I said. I also then followed up by acknowledging yes, back at that time, yes, the standard in which to make the playoffs was a bit lower because it was 16 teams making the playoffs, but there was only 22 teams in the conference, right? However, the top of the conference was still so much better than everything else that it makes sense, right? So even though, yes, the standard to make the playoffs was much lower in the 80s, but the standard to be a number 1, number 2, number 3 seed was also much higher because you had to win 55 to 60 games every single year to be at that point. In 2003, you can be the number 1 seed in the East with flat out 50 wins, and they were the only 50-win team in an entire conference. I'm looking at not only that, how many All-NBA selections you're receiving.
In 03?
In 03 or 02, one of the two.
Yeah, but it's not 03 because 03 had a 60-win team, a 50-win team, so it wasn't 03.
So 02.
03?
In 02, which one is it? Yeah, in 02, 03.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm saying.
okay.
Yeah,
So
02,
this is the problem with statistics, okay? Yes, you had one 50-win team, but you also had a 49-win team, 2 48-win teams, a 47-win team. So they're 1 or 2 games off. Like to say that, well, they didn't win 50. Okay, 48, 49. What's the difference?
The difference.
Like you're trying to make a point. I get it. But if I win 49 games and you're saying I'm shit because I didn't win 50, come on.
If you all let me finish, I'll get.
Go ahead, Lo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Again.
Lo,
It's not just the record. It's also how many players are making All-NBA teams, how many players are winning MVPs and finishing top in the MVP race. How many of these players are how many teams are finishing below or above offensive and defensive rating? If you take all of that into account, everything, it is undeniable that there were more below average offensive and defensive teams in the Eastern Conference than in that 5-year stretch than in any other point in the 20 years before or after. It is undeniable the amount of players that were making All-NBA teams and winning MVPs and finishing in the top 5 in the MVP race. It is undeniable that majority of them were Western Conference players. It is undeniable that when it comes to the standard of winning and averages of what they were able to produce and the standard to get into the playoffs and the standard to make the number 1 seed, it's undeniable that it's lower. All of that was low.
Does that make it? But does that make it trash?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So hey, no. Fluent. Let him say Fluent. Let him say it's trash. That means he had to say it was trash all those years LeBron James played against all those teams.
I said that as well. I said that as well.
So I want to make sure we got that on record. Since you said it was trash, I want to make sure that. But one last thing before Ron goes to the super chat. I want you to think about something, and this is beyond numbers. And Fluent, Chill Town, these guys know this because they lived through this. They watched this, bro.
I watched it too.
And I'll be no. I'm telling you something, bro. Honestly, bro. Everybody in the chat room talking about, James Harden's a better facilitator. There was no facilitating for those guys that was on that Philly team with AI, bro. Bro, them dudes could not score the basketball. They were a great defensive team. There was no guys on that team that was going to give you 20 or 25 a game, regardless of what you did. James Harden had the benefit of playing with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, had the benefit of playing with Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey. He had the benefit of playing with Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. He had the benefit of playing with all those great dudes throughout his whole career. Bro, AI never played with half of the talent that he's played with throughout his whole career. So it's easy to talk about efficiency with James Harden when James Harden, whenever he got into the situation where he had to be the man, he ran because he didn't want to be that. AI ran to that. AI, hold on. No. James Harden never wanted to be in a situation where he truly had to be that dude, bro. And when you look at that era that AI played in, which was a highly defensive era, bro, there's no way that James Harden, who we know who he is, would have been able to survive leadership, lead his team through those series, and be the guy that was relied on to score all those points y'all see him scoring now, all the step back threes. You know good as well as I know, Lo. They play a different style of defense back then. Fluent to tell you, it was more physical. It was more up on you.
This era,
I'm saying all I'm saying to you is this, bro. If you would have given AI throughout his entire career all the talent that James Harden played with, bro, his career would have been on steroids as far as the accolades and as everything else. Because if you would have put a younger AI with all the talent that James Harden came into the league with. James Harden came into the league with Hall of Famers, bro, on his team. That OKC team was mean. They went to the finals early, bro. There is no excuse for James Harden throughout his entire career, bro, to have never won a championship with all that talent he played with. So it's disrespectful.
Hold on. We done now. We're done talking about Allen Iverson and James
Don't put me on mute no more until I'm finished.
We're done talking about all right.
He left.
No, he got booted. I need you guys to know who's Geppetto up here and who's controlling all the strings.
You are running.
All right.
Don't say that.
We're gonna go ahead and get into these.
I wouldn't. You're gonna end up alone, buddy, if you keep saying shit like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, you check that shit.
All right,
saying that you're Geppetto is crazy. That's
Luis.
You're gonna have a mutiny, bro. You better be careful, brother.
Luis Santini said Dwayne Wade underrated in an all-time hierarchy, and that's a question.
Dwayne Wade
underrated. It depends on where you got Dwayne Wade rated. If you think Dwayne Wade is a top 15 player all time, if you think he's a top 15 player all time, he's overrated. If you think he's a top 20 player all time, I think he's overrated. If you think he's a top 30 player all time, I think that's legit. So
if you're going shooting guard, if you're saying he's a top 5 shooting guard all time or close to it,
right? That's legit.
I feel like Dwayne Wade's pretty accurate because of a couple things. One of the better defensive shooting guards ever, and just I think his peak was too short, and I think that hurts him.
And again, when you talk about a guy being underrated, well, who are you underrating him against? Because he wasn't better than Bryant, right?
He wasn't accurately rated.
He wasn't better than Jordan. So when you talk about him all time, well, was he a top 15 player all time? I don't think so. No. Was he a top 20 player all time? So when are we talking about when we talk about the guy being underrated? We talk about Dwayne Wade plenty, not around here, but throughout the NBA. They're going to build a statue of him outside the arena one day. He's the best player in the history of the Miami Heat. So the idea of him being underrated, it depends on where you have him rated.
Yeah, he's in my top 25. I think that's pretty.
I think he's a top 25 player, no doubt. Man, get Ticket back in here.
Please get Tim back in.
Get Ticket back in here.
No, we want
Ticket with the. Yeah, Ticket's mad right now. A30 with the super chat. He said, question for Marz, Low, Chill, and Ticket in that order. Who's better and why? Kobe or LeBron?
Oh, LeBron. He does everything on the basketball court better than Kobe Bryant besides shoot the basketball.
this dude right here on the bottom left, yeah, he's the homer. So you already know what the story is with him. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, no, he didn't ask me.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous for me. I think that he was better than Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant didn't do anything better than him. Nothing. James was better than him on every level, and not only was he better than him, I don't think he did anything.
Kobe didn't do anything better than
I don't think he did anything better than James.
Free throw shooting.
Okay, I'll give you free throw. We'll go that far. But I think that when James actually got with Kobe in the Olympics and he saw what the work actually looks like, and that took him to the. He thought it's a difference between working and thinking that you're working, and then actually seeing what the work looks like and go, okay, I don't have that. I got to get that. And I think that's what he did, and that's what pushed him over the top of a lot of guys.
No, Kobe. This thing is Kobe's better than LeBron. Free throw shooting is one. Mid range shooting is another one.
Offensive rebounding.
Oddly enough, when I look at LeBron's offensive rebounding compared to Kobe and Jordan, I'm actually very surprised that both of them actually have more than him or average more, or just
less than him. Or wait,
no. Jordan
more than LeBron. Yes,
yeah. Jordan averages more offensive rebounds than LeBron, which is weird. Also, I think Kobe's post game is more fluent as well. But I think just the impact
more fluent.
Okay.
You knew that was coming.
I know. I should.
You're gonna use that word. You're gonna get the button. All right.
But no, I think as a defender, he peaked higher as a defender. I think Kobe actually cared more about defense longer than LeBron. Also, I'll leave that as well. But I think as a defender, LeBron peaked higher than Kobe. I also think that LeBron is just obviously a better facilitator and playmaker, a better driver and finisher to the basket. And then also in the playoffs, LeBron's numbers kind of uptick a little bit, not by much, depending on which era of LeBron you catch, but you do see an uptick. And then there's also a stretch in LeBron's career where the mid-range game was not bad at all, and he became somehow a miraculously great three-point shooting player within his time in Miami. So that was even crazy as well. So yeah, there's a good stretch where LeBron is just much better than Kobe in many areas, not everything, but there are. So I just think because of that, as well as LeBron's impact, I would say LeBron is better.
There you have it.
Matthew Owalabi tapped in and said, "Happy holiday."
He did ask Ticket's answer. Ticket's answer is Kobe is better than LeBron because he didn't have to stack the deck to win.
And he got mama mentality.
Mama mentality, baby. Yeah. X.
And his name is pronounced Matthias.
Matthias.
Please get his name right, boy. He's donating $100. Say happy holidays. You better get that boy name right, man.
We got to get Ticket back in here.
Yeah, man. Get Ticket up here, man.
We got to get Ticket back in here.
Hell host, man. Put it in the chat, man.
It's not on me. Text Ticket. Message him and tell him to come back.
We got to get Ticket back.
Message Ticket and tell him to come back.
Discord are going down next vote. You're going down.
We got to get Ticket back in here. So
Louis is down. Said, "Can you wear those chains in the shower?" Ticket. He's not here to answer that, so I'm not sure.
He's saying it's fake, so his neck will turn green if he wears it in the shower. That's what he's saying.
Oh, I wouldn't take that bet. Whoever said that, I wouldn't take that.
Man, I wish Ticket was here so I could figure out.
Did
he make that bet, man? Did he make that Laker bet, man, last week, man?
He did. Yes, he did.
He said he gonna put $5,000 that the Lakers gonna beat the Celtics, man.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely lost that one, boy.
5 stats.
You better listen to Fluent Jr. He picked the Celtics, remember? He knows what he's talking about.
Maverick tapped in. He said, with All-Star game voting up and so many players playing at the All-Star level caliber, who do you guys think will be the worst All-Star snub this year?
Joel Embiid will get snubbed as a starter.
Joel Embiid will get snubbed as a starter. Who's going to be the starting five man, Lo?
It's front court, back court.
It will be Tatum, KD, and Giannis starting, and Embiid will be
right. Yeah,
So Embiid might actually get snubbed as a starter. As the entire team, I'm not sure because I really got to figure out if Kyrie is going to make it or not. So that right there would be the person that determines if he gets snubbed or not. Because if he don't make it as a starter, it's going to be an uphill battle for Kyrie. But yeah.
The BMG show said MJ, Kobe, Wade, West, Harden, AI, shooting guards in that order.
I got West over Wade if we're counting him as a shooting guard.
Yeah, I go Kobe. Sorry, not Kobe. I go Curry at 3.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Jordan, Bryant, Wade, Jordan, Bryant, Wade, West, Harden. Is that what it was, Ron?
Yeah, Harden and AI. That's
I'm
fine.
cool with that. I'm cool with that list.
I would put West above Wade though.
I don't.
Yeah, I also I have Drexler above AI, but that's just me.
Okay, now that's where you get nasty.
That's just me. I wouldn't argue it though, but yeah.
Drexler. Oh, I won't sound disrespectful, but Drexler's like Pascal
Drexler doesn't
Siakam.
get dressed. You know what? You guys were talking about who gets Drexler gets disrespected.
I was about to disrespect him apparently, man.
Yeah, you were, because you guys underrate how good Drexler was.
He's like past
the 90s. That's why.
No, stop. Okay, stop.
Drexler's like, I saw you say there was only like 4 good players in the 90s.
I never said that.
Drexler took that Portland team.
You said you was watching the 90s, and a lot of players were starting to look real suspect.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who were suspect.
Y'all give these players who lead their teams to the finals like so much love, yet he led that Portland team
twice
finals in 3 years, and no one says jack about it.
I know, man. But when I see him, I just see Pascal Siakam.
Right, Pascal's better than Zion, so
you see Pascal Siakam, but Drexler could finish in the last 2 minutes of a game. He didn't miss every shot.
That is true, yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Wait. Loaded. You just say
he is a better shot creator, and he hangs in the air.
Would you say you see Drex? You see Pascal Siakam? Is he a better version of Siakam?
Yeah. But I just see.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. No. No. Yeah, Drex is a better version of Siakam.
Be careful, because
I just see somebody driving.
Drex, he'll call him on you.
I just see somebody driving primarily with their right hand and getting to the basket. I didn't.
But it works though. I mean,
it works. No, but I'm just telling you what I saw.
Right.
Someone brought that up to me, right? So then I just sent him a TikTok. I made a TikTok video showing Drexler driving with his left and dunking with his left like 5 times in a row. And I was like, okay, I guess he never did it, right? Like,
right.
If he did it, if I could skyhook with my right hand and no one could stop it, why am I going to my left? F you. I'm going to keep doing what works.
No, for sure. No, he's still great. But
all right.
Jimmy Two Shoes said, "Take that Walmart." He said, "Take that Walmart do-rag off."
Who was he talking about?
K Spiffy. We're moving on low.
Yeah,
Spiffy said, "Lick it, LV." Marz 3-0 smoking that admit one ticket pack on Black Friday. Shout out Low and OG Goats. Dub host Marz better and is greater than do-rag titanium chain loud boy.
I ain't gonna lie, you saying "lick it LV" is crazy.
It does. That does sound a little wild. Doesn't
yeah,
it? I thought I was reading it. I'm thinking about wait a minute. Is that correct? I mean, I don't know where that's from, but we appreciate you, brother. We definitely appreciate you.
What the kids do nowadays, OG, is that when you take an L, what they do is they remove the first name of your letter, the first letter out of your name, and put an L in front of it. So instead of ticket, it's now lick it.
Got it.
Instead of TV, it's LV.
Got you. Okay. All right.
I think I'm gonna start a TikTok series. I'm gonna get you guys to explain all the new stuff. Like we'll do like a bunch of segments for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
all
that.
Right. Because I'm clearly out the loop when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah. I'm clearly out of the loop when it comes to stuff like that. I'm out of touch.
All right.
Devon Williams, who y'all top 5 player versus player rivalries?
Top 5 player versus player rivalries. Chamberlain, Russell, Ewing. I can't say Ewing and Jordan because Jordan and Ewing, he never beat him. So I think those two guys. Magic Bird, James, Curry. I mean, Low. They did meet in the finals 3 times. Was it 3 or 4 times? 4 times they met in the finals. So
what about? I like Kobe Duncan, but that's just my era of basketball. You know,
Kobe Duncan was definitely a rivalry, but was that more of a Shaq Duncan or was it more Kobe Duncan?
It might have just been more Lakers Spurs, if anything.
I think that it was more Lakers Spurs than it was because like when Shaq left, I mean the Spurs were still rolling. But then Kobe and those guys got it back together again.
So how about this? Duncan and Dirk. I do like that, actually. Those are some of the best games I go back and rewatch.
Those are dope. Those in the Western Conference Championship, yeah. I think those 2 were awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna sound mad young, but I don't know why. But BG and Zach Randolph, those I don't know why. Those are just amazing. I don't know why.
Jordan and Isaiah. I definitely have to put that up there. Jordan and Isaiah. That was something difficult to deal with from Jordan's aspect.
No, well, Harden didn't win against Curry, so I can't say that.
No, because what is a rivalry exactly? A rivalry isn't a rivalry until the other team wins.
I agree.
That's why I can't put Jordan and Ewing, even though those games were fantastic, right? The 1993 Eastern Conference Championship is one of the best series that I've ever seen. But I can't put Ewing and Jordan in that conversation because Ewing never beat him.
For sure.
Did someone just put in Delonte West and LeBron's mom? Is that what I just saw in the chat?
Oh, all right. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep it pushing on to the next super chat. Chat, y'all just don't know how to act.
Yeah, ever. They wild over here. They super wild. And Tone don't do nothing but egg them on. That's Tone. He the epitome of the comic relief over there. Tone just eggs them on. That's who he is.
YGB Mike said ticket top 5 on this panel, and he's not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Jesus. Wait, what was that? We missed a lot. I feel like missing a lot.
Yeah, I saw one that said is Stockton and Malone overrated.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what you wanted,
right?
No,
I just saw it.
Yeah, of course.
I thought I saw that too.
We'll touch on it. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soba Mass said Marz the type of dude that completely ignores results. James Harden coming up short in the playoffs matters. You can't erase that to make a point.
Facts.
And I also think that Marz, I think Marz, what you do more than anything is a guy who is a basketball player more than what that guy produces is what's more important to you. And the reason what I'm saying is
what you mean by what they produce.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that you look at a guy whose ability to handle the basketball is better than this guy's ability to handle the basketball. This guy's ability to run, or this guy's ability to score, this guy's ability to shoot the basketball. I think you value that more than this guy who he may not be as good a ball handler. He may not be as good of a passer, but he produces more.
How does that pertain to AI and Harden?
Because I think that when you look at James Harden, you're going solely off the fact that you think James Harden is a better basketball player than Allen Iverson, as opposed to Allen Iverson producing more on a grand, not just on a grand scale, but more in the playoffs.
He didn't do. Okay, He didn't do that. He got past the second round one time. Like, he had one postseason that produced.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, James Harden has still produced more in the postseason. In the grand scheme of things, he still plays better than AI in the postseason. It's just that he gets the narrative because in the big games, like the game 6 against the Spurs and the game 6 and 7 against Golden State, and I guess last season against Miami, he gets the label of in the big games he doesn't show up, but in totality, he still outplays AI in playoffs. So it depends what you mean by produce, because I look at what people produce. I just don't look at it in wins and losses. I don't think you played better because you won. I don't think AI.
No, that's not true. I can get with that logic. I can absolutely get with that logic. But that other stuff that you just mentioned about what James Harden did, that stuff matters. That stuff matters, Lo, when he has duds like that.
No, I'm not.
Right?
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying if that's your whole argument for why AI is better, and your argument is about 4 games of a player's whole career.
I think the problem I have is like what Marz said, is just a narrative built around Iverson and his career. So when he underperforms, it's just more acceptable, and nobody doesn't really even talk about it, which to me already puts the standards in such an uneven playing field to where you're almost admitting that you just expect more from Harden because you believe he's a better player anyway. But like, sure, yeah. Does Harden underperform in the postseason? Yes, he drops in the postseason. He's one of the biggest. Yeah, he's one of the biggest. I've never denied that. Undeniably, but the reality is that if you just go back and just rewatch some of the games, like in the game 5 I've seen it recently where the game 5 against the Celtics, in that fourth quarter, Iverson scored 2 points. He shot like 1 for 7 or 1 for 6 or something like that. He shot poor, but we don't talk about that. Because it happened so long ago, but more importantly, it's just that everybody the team they sucked. It was bad. So of course, but that team's identity was primarily defense. They won games off of their defense.
That's all I was.
And what we don't
on defense, they did win primarily on defense, and they put the load of the offense on one guy who was 6'0", 120 pounds, soaking wet.
Wasn't that most teams back then? though? Honestly, wasn't that most teams that they put the offensive load on one person? Wasn't it not?
But not any of those guys were what Iverson was, though. Not any of those guys. I'm
talking about like Carter. Like I'm talking about like Vince Carter. He got primarily of the offensive load.
Right. I mean, that's anybody.
He had a bunch of supporting characters.
Well, that's also the case
so
too.
did Iverson though.
No,
That's
even
also-
for offense though. I think like Carter, for example, had more offensive balance on his team than the Sixers did.
That's also the case. That's also the case. That's also the case too with any team. You got to pick one guy. This guy is our guy, and this one guy who is our guy, he's going to carry us offensively. Now you might have some exceptions where you had Kobe and Shaq, where Shaq was the starter and Kobe was the finisher, right? But
that's rare. It's rare you get
that's where I'm getting. That's
players in the league on the same team.
Right. That's where I'm getting to. So you have exceptions in that particular situation, but for the most part, you only had one guy. I mean, as good as Ginobili was, as good as Tony Parker was. I mean, Tim Duncan was the guy. As good as Steve Nash was, Amari Stoudemire was the guy on that team. So when you're talking about having one guy as the guy, that was the narrative, and that was the case primarily throughout not just the 2000s, but throughout basketball.
But what I'm saying is that, like, for example, the Carter thing, like in that series, McKee averages 16 points and Mutombo's averaging 11 points in that series. Antonio Davis is averaging 17 points. Alvin Williams averaging 11 points. Like,
right.
Like they had, like, when you look at it, it wasn't that crazy. During the regular season, it was Vince Carter 27, then 14 to Antonio Davis, 10 to Oakley. And then, like he said, like one or two more players that if you round it up, probably get to double digits. In that same year, it was after Iverson, it was Theo Raffles at 12, but then they traded him for Mutombo, but he also gave you 12 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was Eric Snow, who, if you round up, he's going to give you 10. Then it was Aaron McKee, who, if you round up, he gives you 12. Then it was Tyronn Hill, who gave you 10 as well. Like, they also had, like,
that's what I'm thinking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they had that team also had other players that if you rounded up, they will give you 10 points, and it's the same amount. So that the team structure offensively isn't so wide to where other teams can just rely on their offense to beat the best defensive unit or one of the best defensive teams in the NBA.
Right. So if that's true, then the separator is Allen Iverson.
No, the separator is the defense.
Yo, we got to move on because this is the same reason why something else happened earlier in this show. I would be hypocritical of myself to let this Iverson and Harden debate.
No, you got it.
Andrew G tapped in. He said, "I know Clipper Leonard better than Tatum, but give me Tatum because I get to see him play, not part-time. Banner 18 coming."
I don't. The Celtics have, I think they dropped 40 last 5, and I think that Orlando Magic team, that's a bad matchup for them. I mean, they have so many problems with guys like Banchero and bigger forwards on the wing, which you wouldn't think that they would, but they have so many problems with those guys. I think that they're in a situation now where getting Robert Williams back in the lineup, now they got to change their whole scheme defensively to get him acclimated to what they're doing. Are they going to win it? I'm still picking the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm having a difficult time seeing somebody beat them 4 times in a week.
Yeah, Tatum. I mean, Tatum has been playing great throughout the year. The second game they lost against Orlando, Tatum didn't play.
He did not play in that game. No, he didn't.
So yeah, to be fair to him, he didn't play. However, the other one he did. So yeah, the Robert Williams and even they missed Al Horford for the past couple of games as well. That's a major blow to them. But I think when everyone's healthy, obviously Boston and Tatum, they're just a bit better than a lot of other teams in the entire league, not just one player. Not just one team or not one conference, excuse me.
I think it's clear in the Eastern Conference more than anything that it's the Milwaukee Bucks and it's the Boston Celtics. As good as Philadelphia is, as good as Cleveland is, I think those two teams, both Boston and Milwaukee, I think that those two are the clear-cut best teams in the Eastern Conference right now. If you take depth into consideration, if you take your bench into consideration, if you take all of these things, best player, defense, those two teams, I think they're the two best teams in the league in the Eastern Conference at minimum. I
hate to do this, but there's a blow up between players in the Chicago Bulls locker room at halftime of the Timberwolves loss, and then multiple Bull players directed frustrations at Zach LaVine, and the situation is intensifying. Almost kind of wounding up for Zach LaVine to want out of Chicago.
Yeah,
they never should have re-signed him anyways.
Yeah, I don't, but when me and Marz,
it's not a good fit. I could see
Zach LaVine for James Wiseman.
It seemed like it was working though. Like when he was healthy and DeMar DeRozan was healthy, it seemed like it was working. They were at the top of the East at one point with those two guys.
Because winning games hides issues. Once you start losing, that's how you really see what a team is built on. And this team was not. Nah.
No, stop.
Matthias, listen, I'm a
Matthias
Stockton
or
guy.
Matthias?
Matthias is his name. I'm a Stockton guy, but there's no way I'm getting behind this. No way.
All right, let's read it. What does it
Thank
say?
you for the $50, though. Thank you.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate
Last
you.
of the day from Matthias Owalabi, he said, John Stockton is the best point guard in NBA history. Most
there's no way I'm
assists,
getting behind
most
this.
steals, and he's square up with anyone. Happy
You
holidays.
square up with anyone?
Yeah, you know what, Matthias? Most people will not agree with you, but I personally believe
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
You
Hey, Tone,
do.
see,
Yes, you
Tone,
do. Yes,
don't
you
do that, yo. Tone got it. Tone is a Magic Johnson stan.
That's what I'm saying. I know he
Right?
doesn't agree.
He is a Magic Johnson
I
stan.
didn't say I agree, but like if we want to give flowers to longevity,
Right.
and we want to
And
put
losing.
and we want to and we say, hey, making it to the finals is enough, and look who has the most, this and that makes someone else the GOAT.
Right.
Then if that's your logic, then if you're being consistent, you would say, well, John Stockton has the most assists, most steals, and longevity, and been to the finals a couple times, so he's the best point guard. I don't think that. I don't agree with that. But if your logic is for other people, then that has to be your logic.
So
You
John
gotta be
Stockton
consistent.
is the LeBron James of point guards.
So Stockton is the LeBron James of point guards. There you have it.
Please stop. Please stop. Please
Marz, that sounds nuts. You saying that, yo?
Please stop. Please stop.
Oh my god.
Please stop.
Oh my god.
That's just what I interpreted. That's just what I interpreted.
What?
I'm just saying, for those that do that, you got to do this. I'm not saying me.
That's where the numbers are. That's where the numbers when you just have
That's
numbers
why you
in your
can't look
argument.
at numbers.
It's not enough. I bring numbers into my argument, but it can't just be that, because when you're doing stuff like that, yo, you opening up Pandora's box.
Do you know who has more career playoff points than Steph Curry?
Scottie Pippen.
Tony Parker. Would you ever say Tony Parker was better than Steph Curry?
Some
Come on.
people would.
I heard people doing that because it was like four championships and one.
I was about to say, I don't know. Some
I've
people,
seen this
some people
graphic
say-
flying around.
There you go.
That's
Anything is
flying
possible.
around.
Anything is possible.
Yo, to that Brooke Lopez comment, no, he's not an all-star. He's gonna make all defensive team, but not all-star.
You don't think he all-star?
Nah.
When you think about the
many
bigs,
there's too many front court players. We just sat there and said Embiid is gonna be bench potentially. Like it's not enough. Siakam is also a front court player.
Right.
It's just too many. It's way too many.
Does anybody else have Brooke as all-star?
It's too bad because he is deserving, but he's not.
I think there's all-star caliber players. I think Brooke Lopez is playing at an all-star caliber level, but not everyone who's at that level can be an all-star.
Jared Allen also in the East as well. It's just too many, man.
But I think Brooke Lopez is playing a lot better than he did last year. I mean, Jared Allen was a replacement last year.
I know. And I think the conference from the front court standpoint is just as good, if not better, though.
And
hey, let me ask you a question on this all-star thing real quick. Do you think replacements should be given credit for being all-stars?
Replacements should be given credit?
I don't get when it says it on your resume, like two-time all-star, and they were both
right. Like if I was a two-time all-star, but I only made it in because two people got hurt, I feel like I didn't really make the all-star team.
Yeah, you wasn't one of the 20.
I feel like, again, I don't use that anyways. See, buddy, I don't use that anyways as a level of measurement. But for the people who do say, "Oh, it's a 10-time all-star," then maybe you should.
Nah.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it really.
I don't use it, so
yeah.
I don't use it, so it doesn't really matter. But I do think that's context that shouldn't be left out.
I don't think it impacts it that much though, because like how many all-star replacement players are even being talked about in a way in which, you know what I'm saying? Like most of them, like you're saying, are two-time all-stars. So how many times are you going to really use an argument that he's better because he was a two-time all-star versus a one-time all-star?
I only think of it because someone tried to tell me that Brad Miller was a good center, and he brought up Pingas, and I was like, nah, dude.
See, stuff like that, I can't, you know.
You can't be bringing up all-stars.
No.
Right.
All right, fellas. The Green Maurice Sports tapped in. He said AI didn't complain or practice.
He practiced.
Don't
make it. See, that's goofy.
No,
right?
he
That's
didn't
goofy.
practice.
Yes, he did.
He did. Do you know what happened?
He might have been.
You know what happened right before that press conference? Do you know that his best friend just got shot, and that's why he was in a bad mood and didn't want to practice.
He didn't.
I wasn't talking about that.
I think AI has said in the interview.
He has said
he did scrimmages. He did scrimmages and stuff.
But he did not practice.
He didn't.
I didn't like to practice either. Did you like practicing? Did you
So
like?
he didn't. So he didn't practice. So
Yeah,
he
but
didn't
he
practice.
Did you like
didn't
the 2 days?
So he didn't practice.
I
He
mean,
didn't practice.
He did.
No,
He
Iverson-
might not have practiced.
I'm
He might not have
asking you,
practiced.
Did you like your 2 days?
No,
Oh
I
my
did not.
God. Nobody liked
You-
2
you-
days.
You could keep the
Nobody
2 days.
liked
I'm straight on the
it.
2 days.
Nobody did.
I hated practice.
You could
I
keep
hated.
the
I
2
hated
days.
football.
Practice?
Football 2 days was crazy.
I'm the MVP of this league. We talk about practice.
But he
I mean,
said
think about it.
himself.
I'm
He
not
said
holding
himself.
that against Iverson though.
I'm not
It's-
either.
Some people need to practice harder than other people.
I
As you
agree.
see with just the scenario with Shaq and Kobe. Kobe like, Shaq, come get your big ass in the gym. Shaq like, I'm the diesel. What
And
you talking
Shaq
about
should've
getting in the gym?
practiced.
No,
If
so
he
he
would've
Shaq.
worked
I'm about to say, and Shaq should have
Shaq
practiced.
practiced,
he
would've
should
been
have.
phenomenal.
No, most definitely, but he already was phenomenal. Yeah, he would have been
better.
He would have been better,
Phenomenal.
but it was, you know,
phenomenal. Yeah, more phenomenal.
I don't think that.
But Iverson said himself that he didn't practice. He said it. He said it himself.
All right.
Fine.
Come on, guys.
Leave
See,
Iverson.
Marz, hey, Marz, you see that? You saw that happen, Marz?
If it wasn't for Iverson, man,
Iverson
This-
just
we
gets
were
a
in-
lot of positive spin for some reason. I don't know why.
I love
culture,
Iverson.
man.
That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. The culture, man.
Percocet came with the super chat. He said, just say if LeBron went to the Warriors instead of KD, would he and Curry be considered the greatest duo of all time? How many rings would you see them winning? Also, I see them beating the 73-9 record. How we feeling about this, fellas?
They wouldn't play enough regular season games
Yeah.
to
They
break
would.
73-9. They wouldn't even chase it.
They wouldn't.
Best
LeBron
duo-
chasing 73? Come on now.
LeBron doesn't play 73.
As I say, he's not
Yeah,
chasing.
they're not gonna play enough.
Back then,
No,
What,
he's not
2016?
chasing
I mean,
it.
Playing
He's not chasing it.
73
They,
wins.
they wouldn't play for,
Stop.
especially just coming off the fact that the 73 win season just ended
Yeah.
that poorly. I don't
LeBron's
think
not
they'd play
chasing
for that again.
Now, how many championships do they win? That's another conversation. 'cause
wait a minute.
they-
Whoa.
It would still
Am I listening to you dudes tell me that James wouldn't play that much?
He
During
wouldn't
that time?
chase- he wouldn't
Yes,
chase
you are,
73.
Chill.
Is that what I'm
They're not
hearing?
gonna chase
Because
the record.
James had
That's
a
what I'm saying.
15-year stretch where he averaged 76 games a season. So the logic that this
And
dude
he
is
ain't
not
winning
playing,
3 or 4 of them.
I'm not saying that he ain't winning 73 or 4, but if these
That's what
dudes,
we're saying.
if
He's
we're
not
in,
winning more than 73 games.
if we're in March and we're at the end of March and the Golden State Warriors are at 69 wins and they still got 20 games, or they got, I don't know, 15 games left, something like that. James is playing.
What stretch did he? Tell me about this stretch.
That's a crazy amount of no cap though.
No,
I think the math is
no,
long.
he had a 15-year stretch
What
where
that
he
did what?
averaged
Oh,
76
average,
yeah,
average.
He averaged 76 games a season for 15 straight years.
Okay.
He did that.
Averaged. Okay, but he
I just
never
don't
went
think
more
he's
than
chasing it.
the 7 years without going to 60 games.
What about what?
But he never. Yes, average. Fine, average. Okay, fine.
Well,
You
that's
said average.
what
You
you
said
what
average.
I know, but what you said, Fluent, is kind of unfair because he couldn't go that long because 2012 was a shortened season.
Not my
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, he couldn't not have that. Yeah, and then to be fair to LeBron, 2012, I think he played every game except for like 2 or 3.
How many games did they have that season? 65.
65, and he
All
played
right, I
62.
played 62 of the 65.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's-
he's just not chasing it though. I don't think LeBron.
Yeah, I
is.
just don't think
insane.
they're gonna play for that many wins.
I don't.
I still think they'd be the best team in the league and never lose if they're healthy.
And I do think that's in the conversation for the best duo. Yes,
Oh yeah.
undeniable.
Yeah.
Jason the Kid said, Ticket got to stop them from disrespecting Iverson. Has he stopped you guys?
I don't think
I
they're
just speak
disrespecting.
facts. Yeah,
I just think AI is
No.
overrated.
No.
I don't think
Hello,
that's
no.
disrespect.
This is why your name always has an L in front of it.
look, now he got taught that, and now he's using it.
It's called learning and becoming more.
That's
fluent.
crazy.
Listen,
That's crazy.
I'm with it too.
You don't.
I
You
like
speak
that.
opinion. You speak
That's
opinion.
crazy.
You
That's
speak
crazy.
opinion. Now, there's a lot of facts that got you to that opinion, but it's not a fact. It's opinion. Good opinion sometimes, but no opinion. Don't call it facts, please.
That weak
Please don't fool these
conference,
people. Don't fool
man.
these
That weak
people.
conference, man. That's a weak conference.
Yeah. Weak conference.
K Jima 89 said Harden only leads Eric Snow to strippers. The fuck?
I
Hey,
genuinely
Diamonds, baby.
believe.
I don't know. I
KOD.
bad thing. Why is that a bad thing?
I genuinely believe if Harden was on that team, bro, it would be.
I don't.
No,
I do not.
you're
No,
wrong. That's
you're
where
wrong,
that
no.
one you're wrong for sure.
No way, Ro.
I think Mutombo looks better, and so does Theo Ratliff.
I think Mutombo punches James Harden in the face for olaying every defensive guy driving past him. Hell no, that would not work. He can't lead. No, he couldn't lead.
And at that time, all right, big guys enjoyed protecting the rim, but damn, you have to give me some resistance.
No.
Allen, James Harden is.
You telling me?
AI wasn't giving.
But Iverson wasn't. I'm about to say, who was Iverson defending? Iverson wasn't defending.
AI was a negative defensive.
Definitely that minimum was with his speed and quickness, trying to stay in front of people. But let me just tell you this: if once they blow by Harden and Mutombo has to block him, and Harden takes the ball, takes 3 dribbles, and shoots a logo 3 and misses, he's getting punched in the mouth. I'm telling you, it's different.
Don't shoot that again. Don't shoot that again.
Actual play style matters. It wouldn't work. It would not work. The good thing about Iverson, he would sit there and dribble for about 5 minutes and give everybody a break. Okay,
which is kind of what. Which is,
I'm about to say Harden do this. I was saying
Harden does the same thing.
As I said, I realized Harden probably is doing. No, but in this Houston
Harden does the same thing. Pounding the basketball.
Yo, Jason the Kid said Harden played with how many MVPs and only choked. Hey, I took a game off the best duo in NBA history, something the Spurs couldn't even do. They named playing through injuries after Allen Iverson. Marz and Lowe, casuals.
But then, this is the other point I just don't understand. Y'all keep saying that that's not Sixers. That Warriors team was unbeatable. Y'all keep saying how impressive it is that team was and how talented they were, how imposing it was, how unfair it was. So you're telling me, and I think that Iverson should receive credit for giving that Lakers team their only loss. But the team that y'all keep telling us is so unbeatable, unfair, too talented. The only player who was able to push into 7 games was Harden. He was the only one. So, but that doesn't matter. That don't matter at all. But Iverson winning 1 game matters more than Harden pushing that team to 7?
Harden played the Warriors 4 times in 5 years, but he's a playoff choker. Like, I don't know what you want him to do.
What are we talking about?
LeBron James plays that same Golden State team. No one blames him for losing, rightfully so, in my opinion. Harden plays them 4 times in 5 years, and he's a playoff choker.
James did not have an 0-11 game against that Golden State Warriors team. James Harden did. James Harden.
11. You mean Iverson.
No, I'm talking about James Harden.
James Harden went 0 for 11.
James.
Yes. Go back.
I don't remember.
I remember.
I'll take your word.
His lows.
Yeah, he didn't have an.
I remember he had 11 turnovers in a game.
Yeah, he also had an 0 for 11 game. Add that to the fact that fast forward to the 18, I think it was the 18-19 season when they played them in the Western Conference semifinals. I think it was the Western Conference semifinals with Steph Curry going 0 points in the first half, and the Warriors still beat them with no KD. Those kind of games.
But Harden played well in that game, though. He played well.
I think he had something like 35 in that game. But
he played well.
There's no way
without KD, that team was still better than Houston.
Even without KD, they still better.
Yeah, they beat them before. Why they not be better?
In 15, they beat them, sure. But I think that's
16. But
16 too. Yeah, 16 too. They did beat them. But it's just games like that are glaring for me.
But is that Harden's fault that they lost in the game of what you're talking about? Harden finished that game with 35 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 44% from the field, 40% from behind the arc. Like, is it his fault that Curry, that not only Curry went off that way, but also they end up losing a game like that? Even with Curry going 0-4, not scoring at all in the first half, the score was tied. It was 57 apiece.
Correct.
Even then.
And your bet, and you and me have had this conversation before, Lo, where when you're talking about matchups, right? So my bench, I'm giving the same effort as your bench, right? My starters, we're basically the same. But then it comes down to my best player is better than your best player. And the Golden State Warriors, my best player ended up being better than your best player.
Without a doubt.
The best player was Stephen Curry.
Steph Curry, yeah. Iverson would also lose that matchup.
Yeah, Steph Curry is better than damn near everyone.
I'm about to say, there's like 99% of league history would have lost that bout.
And even
on James Harden.
Even with
does he lose that individually though?
But
even my God, no, think about it. No, think about it. Stop. Because Allen Iverson has averaged more 30-point seasons than Steph Curry. They lose to them. They lose the series. But individually,
I'm not.
If you
think
individually, if you're trying to say AI is better individually than Steph Curry,
I'm saying individually, AI is liable to outscore Steph Curry in any series.
James Harden outscored Steph Curry.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
What does that mean?
So
It doesn't mean anything. I'm answering your question. I'm saying Allen Iverson will outscore Steph Curry in any given series.
What we're saying is that even in the game in which they lost, the game in which we're talking right now, James Harden still outscored Curry, and he still lost. So what we're saying is that we can't sit here and just say that, oh, well, the game in which Curry had he went 0 in the first half and still ended up winning that game. Yeah, because the team was just better. Because even when Harden outscored Curry in that game, got more steals than Curry in that game, probably got more assists as well than Curry in that game, shot great from the field and be from behind the arc in that game as well. So he was efficient. He still lost, not because he underperformed, not because Curry shot 0. He went 33 points. Well, that's part of it, but not because Curry went scoreless in the first half. It's just because the team was better. That's it.
Most definitely. Moving on to the next super chat. AMF said the Sixers team played like that because of chemistry and trust in AI. Numbers will never understand a team willing to go to war with a certain player.
They played like that because their defense was great.
Jason the Kid said if Harden plays in the same era as AI, he will be worse efficiently. Harden is horrible in this era. I need to cook these two lames disrespecting Iverson. Harden, how many MVPs on his team?
He would be less
I highly
efficient.
doubt James Harden would be negative efficiently.
He wouldn't be negative. I don't think he'd be negative, but he would be worse.
He'd be less efficient than he has been in this era. I don't doubt that. But
also, when we're saying that somebody is inefficient, it's relative
to yes. I've tried to explain this many times, and people just it goes over their head.
It's relative to the era in which they play in. So I'm not saying that Iverson is less efficient or inefficient in contrast to Harden, just simply based off of their field goal percentage, like comparing 1-to-1. I understand that he played in an era that's more defensive oriented. So I'm comparing Iverson against his own peers, against the own era that he played in. And in that era, he was inefficient for the standard of that era. Harden, in the standard of his era, is not inefficient. He's actually above efficiency and had his years where he's peaking on par with a lot of other players to their relative efficiency. That's what we're saying. Also, in that one, we cutting on Vince Carter. What you just had up there, put it up there. Put it up there, man. Don't get shy. I'm cutting VC.
D-Wade, T-Mac, Vince Carter.
Carter gets cut.
Yeah.
And then D-Wade gets started, and then T-Mac bench.
T-Mac gets cut because he's going to get injured.
I guess.
Okay.
Why
are you huffing and puffing when I told the damn Lakers to trade Anthony Davis 2 weeks ago?
Said, hey man, give yourself a round of applause.
Look at it now. He's out for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Tell me when you can. What's gonna happen? He's gonna get hurt. Oh well, looky there. So when I say I'm taking Vince Carter over T-Mac because T-Mac's getting hurt, trust me.
Yes, sir. You was right about that.
I told you. If they would have traded him, they would have looked like geniuses. He would have played 2 games for the new team, gone down for 3 months, and the Lakers would have come out on top.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, damn, Fluent, but
I'm fluent in injuries.
He got a crystal wow. He got a crystal ball over there, man.
Now you're more fluent.
But that also means that VC would quit on his team, right?
No, don't do that, Low. No, you're not doing that, Low. No way, no, Low.
I need to hear this, Low. I need to hear this.
Go ahead, no, ask Chill.
No,
you know what happened.
Low, there's no way.
You know what happened.
God,
be honest, Chill.
Okay, first of all, he did not quit on that Toronto team. No, he didn't, Tone. No, he didn't.
No, I was there. He did not quit on his team.
No,
he didn't quit on Toronto.
No, he did not.
He just stopped dunking, and
he actually, you know what? He didn't stop dunking. It was one comment in an interview because he was getting pissed off about they were pressuring him, and he finally just out of frustration said, "Oh, I'm quitting. I'm not dunking anymore." And they took that and ran with it. He still dunked. I was there at the games. He still dunked. It wasn't. He said it, but he didn't do it. It was just he was frustrated. And let's be honest, the problem with Vince Carter was the fact that he was too young to understand the amount of weight and pressure and responsibility he was given. They basically said, you're leading a country's basketball knowledge and growth. And it got too much for him. And he couldn't handle it because he's not that kind of guy. He's a nice guy who played in the band. Who doesn't have the killer mentality, and they wanted him to have it. He wasn't that dude.
And he did it for a while. He did it. He was able to do it for a while.
It was outside of his character, right? It was just honestly when him and T-Mac were here together,
right?
Because since we're gonna say what people said, Kobe said, Slam Magazine, you can go look. If they stay together, it's Lakers Raptors in the finals every year. But T-Mac was like, no, I want to go home. I miss Florida. I miss the warmth. I want to lead a team. Bad decision. So they both, there was a lot of issues going on. But don't forget, Raptors were a horrible organization at that time. The GMs were terrible. They were going through them like crazy. They weren't consistent.
Why did he average 16 points?
It was a mess. The Raptors were a mess.
Why did who average 16
Why
points?
did he average 16 points in those last games before he got traded?
One, because he was actually still a little bit injured. But they were also, look at the way they were coaching. They were playing a completely different style. Him and Sam Mitchell, I believe, who was the coach at that time.
Yeah, he was.
They got into a fight in the locker room.
He slammed him. He slammed him. Yeah,
there was issues there. So, and like stupid things. You want to know what he complained about? Michelle, his mom, wanted her own private parking space, and they were like, no. And it became a big thing, and it shouldn't have been a thing. Give the damn woman a parking spot. There was just so much dumb, immature stuff going on. So no, he didn't quit on his team. They quit on him just as much as he quit on them.
I'm not saying they didn't, but he did. 15 shots a game. Interesting.
Yeah.
Shout out Vince Carter, half man, half amazing. One of the dopest I ever seen with these two eyes, and there's no doubt about that.
Yes,
half man, half quitter.
That's nasty, low. A30 tapped in. He said, "Ron, what happened to the viewers show?"
That's what we doing, ain't it?
Oh, my bad. Go ahead, go, man.
Ain't that what we doing? Show. That's what we doing, right?
I think this is an old super chat from when we were off on our tangent on AI versus Harden. So we better not talk about that anymore.
Shout out A30. Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. One of the loyalists here. K Spiffy said, "Not cooking ticket food got no." Not cooking. Tickets food got no seasoning and no vibration.
I don't know what that means, but
basically, never mind. I ain't gonna go into it. I'm not gonna go into it. King J said, "Low telling a fact. The era in the East was trash. It wasn't occasional for teams in the East to have 50 wins. This is stupid to argue.
It wasn't occasional. Well, wait a minute. Nobody's saying that it wasn't occasional. We all know that to get into the playoffs, that you needed at least minimum 50 wins to get in. And the Eastern Conference didn't have.
No. You mean 40.
You needed 40 wins. Now, the Eastern Conference, they did have some 50-win teams. Now, it wasn't like it was a surprise that a team was winning 50 games in the East, because it wasn't a surprise that teams was winning 50 games. They weren't winning as many 50 games as they were in the Western Conference. But to say that it was just trash, I don't think so.
Why do people pick and choose when they want to use wins in an argument? Wins matter sometimes, then wins don't matter other times. Make up your damn minds. And you're going to say, what I mean? Here's what I mean. So one team is better than another. You're basing it on wins, right? Mm-hmm. So if a player beats more teams with 60, 50, 40 wins, is that a better player because he beat more 50-win teams or 60-win teams?
From a player standpoint, no. But from a team standpoint, I think wins matter.
Wins matter. Okay. Yeah, so if a team has more wins in the regular season, are they better than a team that has less every single time?
Not every single time, but you would hope.
Not every single time.
So. Yeah,
if a team beats you in the regular season and then in the playoffs, you say, "Well, that team's better, so they would lose." I'm going to go with Golden State. Let's pick on Marz.
If they didn't
Marz, do you give the Raptors championship its kudos because they beat the Warriors, or do you say it's only because KD lost?
No,
KD got hurt.
I give them the credit because they won a championship, but I also understand that it's likely if both teams were healthy, the Warriors would win.
But in the regular season, they went 3-0 against them.
They did.
Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So do the wins matter in the regular season? Yes or no?
They matter, but not.
I mean, I'm not a big practitioner in for me, 50-win teams, 60, that's arbitrary. I don't get what the difference between 49 and 50 wins is. I don't know why there's a barometer. It's like the same thing.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
It's like averaging 10 rebounds and averaging 9.7 rebounds. I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
So that's those type of things I don't like. Right. Don't really matter.
Was LeBron's competition harder than Jordan's, or was Jordan's harder
to get to the finals?
Or to get to the finals?
In the finals.
No, LeBron's in the finals.
LeBron had
in the finals. But why? Jordan's teams that he faced averaged more wins.
Every team that Jordan faced was the number one. Was the number one seed.
And was the number 1 or 2 seed in there. Yeah, it was the number 1 seed except for the Lakers that was the number 2 seed. But they average more wins than LeBron's.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it harder if the regular season wins matter? That's my point.
I have to double check that.
Go ahead.
Let me double check it right now.
Yep. Go do your research, Marz.
He right now.
I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't.
I know, no, Marz.
With
No,
the wins.
Marz,
I don't think the 73 win Warriors are better than the KD Warriors. I don't think that.
Yeah, exactly. When Draymond said that was the best team ever assembled, I just laughed. I was like, your team the next year was better. I don't.
Yeah, so I'm not a big. I don't really look at teams' wins. I just
me and Marz are cool. Me and Marz are cool. Hey, since there's no one here to tell you, Marz, look it up, Marz.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Marz. Look it up, Flo.
I know. Jesus, boy. Every time, I'm just I become the default person to just start looking things up, man.
You're the numbers guy, Marz.
You're the numbers guy.
Wow. Marz, you're low. Hey, there go to Messi. Hey,
Marz.
Matthias Owalabi said Marz, Messi or Ronaldo.
Okay, I'll explain it in basketball terms.
This is simple. This is actually simple, Marz.
I'll explain it in the most simple basketball terms you can understand. Messi is LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Cristiano Ronaldo is, let me be respectful when I say this, Cristiano Ronaldo is Dwayne Wade.
So essentially, what he's saying, Matthias, is it ain't close.
Not close.
You're saying it's not. That's
what he's saying. It ain't close.
Have an effect, or was it already Messi?
It hadn't been close since 2012, so a decade. It hasn't been.
So we're talking about a decade when Messi was here and Ronaldo was here.
The reason they got compared is because they played in the same time. They played at the same time. That's why they got compared.
So should I?
Clyde Drexler got compared to Michael Jordan because he was the second best shooting guard in the era with Michael Jordan. And everyone knew Michael Jordan was levels above. If Cristiano Ronaldo plays in a different era, he wouldn't be compared to Lionel Messi, but they played at the same time. He was the number 2. It's only
what's that team Messi plays for?
Now he plays for PSG.
PSG, should I be? I have that PSG. I should wear that now. Is I can wear it proudly?
Well, you can wear it proudly. They're expected to win the Champions League. So.
I'm gonna bust that out. All right. As a matter of fact, hold on.
Appreciate you, Matthias. Thanks for tapping in once
that's
again.
Funny because he was better than him. No, he wasn't.
Cool. So. Macaroni came with a super chat. He said, y'all agree with Phil Jackson's theory. 40 wins before 20 losses are true championship contenders.
I think that's fair because if you got 40 wins before you have 20 losses, that means that you are in a different place. If you lose in 20 games, that means that we're on the other side of what we're trying to do. If we got 40 wins, we rolling right now. Before 20 losses, yeah, we rolling right now. And we obviously are in a good place. Yeah, you see it, Marz? You see it, Marz?
He's got more football attire than I do.
There we go. I'm ready. I'm ready for footy. I'm ready to be on footy next week. Fire. I love this jacket.
That's a dope jacket too. I like it.
I love it. Yeah. I bought it. I'm not gonna lie. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is nice," and I bought it. And I'm like, and everyone's like, "Oh, you like PSG?" I'm like, I have no idea who they are.
No, I have no idea. That's interesting.
The answer again is Messi. If the question is about football and Messi's an option, the answer is Messi.
Oh, so Messi over everyone?
Right now, yes. Ever, yes.
Ever?
For the foreseeable future, yes.
Pele, Maradona, everything. Messi.
Yep.
Wow.
Don't get Marz started on Pele, but I shouldn't even brought that up because
hey, Marz think Pele is overrated. I don't know much about soccer to even to get into that, but that's that.
I gotta pull a low. I gotta look that up because I don't know enough about it either.
Yeah, I don't know enough about soccer. I had to start watching soccer because my daughter got into it when she was in high school. I don't know nothing about soccer at that point, Marz. I'm watching the World Cup and I don't have any idea what I'm watching, but my daughter is getting into this. So I gotta find out what the hell a goalie does. I gotta find out what I gotta find out what a defenseman is, right? I don't know what I don't know how.
You know what a goalie is? What?
I don't know what offsides is.
Offsides, you gotta explain.
I don't know what offsides is. I don't know what a defenseman is, right? And I'm watching my daughter, and I'm watching her guard the goal. And I'm thinking to myself, you got the easiest job than everybody. That's, of course, until everybody comes down and she gets into the stance and my blood pressure goes up. I'm like, oh, shit, this is serious. She obviously got the hardest job than everybody.
Yeah, this is why I'll always have respect for football/soccer players, because the 2 years that I played it, they made me play midfield, and I never ran so much in my damn life. I'll never do it again. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, your endurance has to be crazy.
Oh yeah, hell no, nah. It's like running cross country. No, thank you.
This thing I got is tricky for me, Bron. And the reason why this is tricky for me is because, like, I got people who'll tell me because Giannis won the NBA championship, he was moved automatically in the top 15 or the top 20, which suggested to me that he wasn't that far away from the top 20. When I also thought to myself, well, if he wasn't that far away from the top 20, that must mean that Leonard ain't that far away from the top 20, because how much did he do that Leonard didn't do? If that's the case.
He not.
So where do I rank Giannis all time? I don't think Giannis is a top 20 player all time. I mean, I think you can make an argument that he a top 30 player, but if he could continue doing what he's doing, I think he could play his way into the top 15, maybe even the top 10.
I think if Giannis doesn't get into the top 15, he underachieved. He's not in my top 20 or top 25 even, but by the end of his career, he needs to be in the top 15 in my opinion.
That's
he
fair.
Will be, or he needs to be.
I think he will be, but he needs to be also. But I think he will be. That's my prediction.
Considering what he's been doing, Ron, you figure if he just turned 28 this month. So if you could get another five more years at this level, let's just say he wins another NBA championship and you get another 5 more years at this level. That'd be a decade of being a first-team all-league defender, being a first-team all-NBA performer. If he could win another NBA championship and maybe win another league MVP, I think we're having a different conversation about him, and I think he can move himself into that top 15.
At 15 right now, I got Dr. J. So that's where he has to get to. So I think that's possible.
Don't rank active players. Wait till they're done. And the way you got to look at it is, if he retired today, where would he be?
No, I don't think he's a top. I do not think he's a top 15 player all time. If he quit today, no, I do not think that.
That's what I would say. If you ask him right now, if he retired today and didn't play another game,
because there's still so much. There's still so much left for him to do. So this is what I mean, Tone. And when I think about guys like Giannis, there's boxes that need to be checked, right? Mm-hmm. So being a champion, all right. He already checked that box. Being an elite defender, okay, he checked that box. Now, the other stuff, being an elite player for a long period of time, he has not checked that box. Giannis just got nice over the last 5 years. It's not like Giannis has a 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year sustainability of being great. He hasn't done that yet, and that matters. So if he quit today, I don't think Giannis is a top 15, top 20 player all time.
And here's the thing. There's 3 things that can happen, right? You gave a scenario where if he does this, he moves up into that conversation, and I agree. If he retires today, he's not there because he didn't do enough. Or, and we see this happen, he continues to play, and I very highly doubt this is Giannis, but he gets lazy, he gets fat, he starts, not taking the game seriously anymore, and then he stays too long. He plays 10 years at mid-level. Well, that hurts you too. That hurts a lot of players. I think Shaq, if Shaq would have retired after Miami, I think we rate him higher than we do at seeing him go to Cleveland, Boston, Phoenix. I think that hurt him.
If he were retired after they won the 3rd championship in a row with the Lakers, we definitely having a different conversation about Diesel. Sure. Definitely.
I'm back from my research. The amount of games, yes, but that has a lot to do with 2 shortened seasons in 2012 and 2020. So because of that, I then decided, let me do win percentage, because that would be the best way to actually use it. And the win percentage is basically the same, 74.5, 74.1.
Win percentage.
Which one's the higher win percentage?
Who do you think?
LeBron's comp.
No, it's Jordan. It's Jordan.
Ah, okay.
So I was correct.
Yeah, you still, so technically speaking, it's all right. However, at that, as close as that is, I would still say at that, as close as that is, I would just start looking at talent at that point. So
y'all got Fluent killing that bet today.
Yeah, my daughter's famous. But that's my point. That's why I'm just saying the wins and stuff, they're not the end all and be all, which was the point.
Knowledge tapped in and said Low is a LeBron meat eater. Is that true?
You know so crazy. You know so crazy on Twitter. They swear I hate LeBron. They swear I hate LeBron.
Goofball.
So it depends on who you.
Yeah, I'm the same. Depends on whatever I say on LeBron. I'm either a LeBron stan or a LeBron hater.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet that just making a comment like that. You wasn't even around when Jordan had hair. When they used to call him Air Jordan. I was around when that dude was playing. So you don't even know what you're talking about. The only logic that you ever come up with is stuff that people already told you. Jerk off. I'm sorry, Lo. That kind of stuff burns me, man.
I get enough of it on Twitter.
Again.
I get enough of it on Twitter, so I don't even care at this point. People be chatting.
All right, let's move on to We Love You, Deja. Marz, take off the hoodie, gang.
No, that's part of Marz' personality.
It is. It crazy enough. It is. Yeah,
that's part of Marz' personality. Like if Marz came in here without the hoodie on, I'd be like, Marz, what you doing, yo? Go get the hoodie on.
Hoodie.
I'm hoodie guy now.
Hoodie Marz.
You would screw the whole thing up if you came in here without the hoodie on. I'd be like, yo, Marz, what are you doing? Go get the hoodie.
Exactly.
Michael Hawkins said in a 7-game series, who wins? The 2011 Mavs or the 2016 Cavs?
I think that 2011
Mavs.
I think that 2016 Cavs team handles them. That's a different James.
I think
completely
I
different.
I say 2016 Cavs as well.
Yeah, and the reason why is because James now has some time under his belt with that Cavs team. Not only does he have some time under his belt, that's a more talented team that he's on in Cleveland as opposed to that Dallas team. I think that with that Dallas team, you're looking at a group that they basically played to LeBron's deficiencies in that entire series. I don't think that they can do that. I don't think they can do that in 2016 in Cleveland because he did so much more. He was such a much better player. I think that they handled that Mavs team.
Do you know what I've seen? I've seen the 2011 Mavs team make LeBron James look like an average player.
Yep.
Didn't see LeBron do that to them, so I'm going to stick with the Mavs. I'm going to stick with what I actually saw with my own 2 eyes versus a hypothetical magical situation.
No, I say the Warriors. I mean, not the Warriors, the Cavs, just because he has better floor spacing. So I don't think he's going to look like the role player that he's referring to.
Yeah, Tony, we're talking about a completely different player. We're talking about not only a completely different player, we're talking about from a talent standpoint. James was so much better. He was on a much better team. I mean, can you imagine Jason Terry trying to deal with Kyrie Irving in transition and running his mouth?
No, I don't think he outplayed James. I'll do it again.
Yes, he did.
But he is a different team.
I get it. Hypothetical.
I know.
I'm gonna go with what I saw.
Yeah.
I'm a LeBron fan, as you clearly can see.
Yeah, you're a meat
eater. A meat eater, some would say.
Oh, eater, yeah.
For everybody, from Ace 30, is Stockton and Malone overrated?
You already know how I feel about it, boy.
No, I don't think they are.
Stockton and Malone, again.
As a duo or as
a duo, depends where you rate them.
Right. It depends on where you rate them because I don't think that they're overrated. I don't think that they were better than Jordan and Pippen. I don't think they were better than Kobe and Shaq. I don't think that I'm never putting them that high. They were not better than those guys. So it depends on
they're not better than Magic and Kareem. They're not better than Curry and
KD.
The
whole duo.
I'm assuming it was the duo.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. I mean,
I don't think
Ace 30.
I don't think the duo's overrated here. I think the individual players are, but not the duo.
I think Stockton's overrated. I don't think Malone.
I feel that Stockton and Malone, by most people's standards that I'm hearing nowadays, they're underrated because people talk about them like they're trash. No, you're shaking your head. Like every time you bring up Malone, all they talk about is what he did off the court.
Right.
The youngins.
I can talk about what he did on the court.
And no one talks about what he did on the court.
I can.
I know you can, but I'm just saying, I feel like
I can too.
Not you guys. The majority of people, I feel, underrate those two guys right
now. He's overrated in my opinion.
What do you think? When you say Malone is what's properly rated for Malone?
Yeah.
To say that he's overrated, that sounds nuts to me. I think he's a top 20 player all time.
He said 20.
I think he's a top 20 player all time.
I have him outside of my 20. I have him top 30.
So you would say that he's overrating him?
It depends on where. If
No,
I got him at
he does.
7. I got him at 17.
He got him at
17?
17, so that's overrating him, correct? For
I think it's a little overrated.
That would be a
Okay.
little overrated.
So he's
as well.
alright.
I think he's top.
But I don't think most
25.
people have him top 20.
Yeah, they don't. He didn't win a ring, so they're
Yeah.
not gonna have him that high.
Hmm.
But I have him in my top 25 when I choose to rank him.
There you go.
when you choose to.
We
I got
choose
my
to rank him.
when I got my top 30. Really, the Malone thing is just the playoff dropping is absurd, and then also Stockton just gets, like the gentleman we saw earlier today, gets way too much praise and conversation just off of stats that never really led much to. I mean, led to some success, but not enough to justify him putting in the conversation that he's in.
Do you not have him as a top 10 point guard all time?
He's fringe if he is one.
Think about that for a second.
Damn.
Think about that for a second. That
I
he's a
said it.
fringe top 10 point guard. So for a guy like John Stockton, let's take we're going to talk about we're going to bring numbers in it. But in addition to bringing the numbers in it, a guy like Stockton who played on both sides of the basketball at a high level, right? He played on both sides of the basketball at a high level and produced wins. We talking about Stockton and Malone. I think they 500 games over 500 as a duo. I think they 500 games over 500. When they get in the playoffs, I don't have an explanation for the 89.
Okay.
I don't have not 8. Is it 88? 88 they were really good. 89 and 90, that's where it gets tricky. But after 90, I got no problem with everything that I saw from these dudes, right? 91 I think they ended up losing to the Warriors, but then 92 they in the Western Conference Championship. 93 I think they lose. Who did they lose to in 93? 94 they're in the Western Conference Championship. 95 they lose to the Rockets, who won the NBA championship. 96 they're in the NBA Finals. 97 they're in the NBA Finals. 98 they're in the NBA Finals. And Stockton being one of the premier point guards during that time, his numbers were comparable just as a distributor and as a playmaker. We're talking about a guy whose gravity. I think that we leave out the fact that the reason why Malone was as good as he was because Stockton's ability to stretch the defense, Stockton's ability to knock down mid-range shots, and to keep defenses honest. A lot of point guards weren't able to do that. Not only that, Stockton's ability defensively to head that attack, and not only head that attack, speed up their offense, and that generated a lot more offense for them in addition to what they was doing in the half court. So I don't have Stockton underrated. I think he a top 5 point guard all time.
Ooh. Wait, but okay, so is Isaiah Thomas above him?
I have a difficult time putting Isaiah Thomas above him, but the separator with Isaiah is the fact that the separator with Isaiah is the championships. I think so.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So, by your logic, you can just sit there and say about Isaiah, I don't know about 85 or 86, but ever since then, though, 87 they lost to the Boston Celtics. 88, I believe they lost to the Boston Celtics. No, they made it to the finals in 88. 89, they made to the finals. In 90, they made to the finals, won both championships. And in 1991, they lost to the Chicago Bulls, who went on to win the championship.
Right.
Like, you can use the exact same logic for him if you're going to just sit here and exclude.
In 89, they only lost 2 games that whole playoff series, both to the Bulls.
Right.
They swept everybody else.
So by again, I'm just saying, like, by that logic, you can also say the exact same thing. And in 87, again, they lost to the Boston Celtics of all teams.
In 7 games.
So, and it was 7 games. So by that logic, you can literally do the exact same thing with Isaiah Thomas. Plus, he has an MVP, Finals MVP, into the longevity. Without a doubt, Stockton's longevity is better. I would argue statistically.
Do you feel you knocked John Stockton because 1, his game was boring. 2, because if you watch the Jazz, all he did was what they asked him to do. Like, he could score if needed. They didn't want him to do that. They didn't ask him to do that. And because there are more talented and skilled point guards, but who didn't produce as much. Like, do you knock him because of his style of play?
I just think there's other players who just accomplish more than him, and I think I understand what the stylistic. However, I would rather have a player out there who has the ability to make the decisions that are necessary on a possession-to-possession basis, not somebody who was just sitting there saying, my coach is telling me to do this, so this is what I'm primarily going to do, unless it's like a catastrophic situation where I'm like left wide open or something like that. So, like, again,
you know that in the 80s and 90s, if you didn't do what your coach told you to do, you sat on the bench, right? It wasn't like today.
I think, but Isaiah Thomas somehow made his way to being a 20-point scorer as a point guard.
It was a different system. It was a different coach. It was a different style. Jerry Sloan was very different than Chuck Daly.
Well, not only that,
the setup of that team where Bill Laimbeer and
Vinny Johnson,
Ali, and
so what system?
They weren't scoring. They were asking Dumars and Isaiah, "Hey, we need you to be both 20-point scorers. That's what we need from you." They asked him to do that. Whereas Sloan said, "Nuh-uh, slow it down, get it into the big man, get it into the post, get it into Malone," which is why he had so many damn turnovers. Look how many turnovers Malone had, because they were always forcing it into him when even sometimes they shouldn't be.
What system, what coach are you referring to outside of, I guess, Jerry Sloan, that was so hell bent on the system that he played that if you weren't doing well enough or you didn't do what I told you, I'll be willing to bench my star guard?
Almost every coach.
I just named a coach and you said I didn't apply to them.
No, I said Chuck Daly's was different. He didn't ask Isaiah Thomas not to score and to be John Stockton. He told him, "I need you and Joe Dumars to score because our front court is focused on defense. They're not scorers. Rodman, Lambeer, those aren't scorers. We need our backcourt to score." So I said it was a different system with a different coach. But almost every coach in those days was very much do what I say or you don't play.
Lo, you also leaving out the fact, Lo, that unit was built entirely around Isaiah Thomas. There's a reason why they had the number two pick in the 1981 draft. They were garbage, and they started that unit with Isaiah Thomas. When John Stockton
picked him after he said, "I refuse, I will not play in Detroit," and they said, "We don't care." Like they built that team to Chill's point around Isaiah. Sorry, keep going. Sorry,
they built that unit entirely around him. So when the Utah Jazz get John Stockton at the end in the beginning of the 84-85 season, they were the third seed the year before. So they were a good team. They basically integrated and switched up their whole style once they got John Stockton, and then they got Malone the next year. So it wasn't like when Stockton got Malone, he got Malone in year 6 or year 7 where he was already a 5-time All-Pro. No, those two guys together basically grew up. And not only did they grow up together, the system was built around Malone, Stockton and Malone was the guy offensively. And Stockton was the guy who was he was the facilitator. He was basically the table setter. He was the guy who took care of all of that stuff, not just for Malone, but he was that guy for all of those guys. Jeff Malone, Brian Russell, when Brian Russell got on the crew later on, he was that guy for all of those guys. And he was the consummate lead guard.
The only reason why I bring up Isaiah Thomas is because of what he said himself. So Isaiah Thomas has been on record several different times saying how adjustments had to be made on a fly on a possession basis. So even though, yes, there was a system set in place for them, right? Isaiah Thomas has sat there and said himself that he had to take it upon himself to know when to do it in the balance. The most difficult thing about being a point guard is understanding the balance of scoring and facilitating and understanding that and comprehending it. So I'm just going off of what Isaiah Thomas himself has said.
Which is fair, Lo.
It's true, but you got to be careful listening to Isaiah Thomas.
Fair enough.
Because in the same paragraph, he'll contradict himself.
Fair enough.
Which is also fair, but I'm having a difficult time believing the logic that Stockton was just a robot out there, and I'm just going to do everything that Jerry Sloan tells me to do, or do everything.
I'm not saying
he wasn't going to do that. I mean, Stockton absolutely went off script and did his thing. Stockton has plenty 20, 25, 18 games, 20 games, 2010 games. He was doing that only except. The reason why he didn't do it enough is because, number one, I think Magic was a better player. And I think that when you're dealing with guys like Isaiah Thomas, when you're dealing with lead guards at that time, you're dealing with guards that I have to defend. And when I got to defend, it kind of takes away slightly from my offense. Plus, I can't leave out the fact that I can't mention this enough to you, Lo. He was a part of a system where Malone was the guy. I am the table setter. I am the facilitator. My scoring is secondary. I can score and I will score when necessary, which he did. Because like I said, he's got plenty 2010 games. He's got plenty 25-20 games. He's got plenty of those. But my job and my role was to get this guy, going. And that's what he did. And that was the consummate floor leader.
And that's fine. It's just that we got to pick a side. Are we going to say that the system that he played in is the reason why he was more in that way, which may have been a detriment to their team's success? But then also you cannot then ignore the fact that the same system is the reason why we've been having this conversation in the first place, because he benefited to the tune of which recording so many assists that he's leading it all time. So yes, was a system been detrimental to the success at the time? Right. Absolutely. But he also benefited so much so that a player who has never won a championship, a player who's never been in an MVP conversation, a player who we're putting up against other all-time great players at his position who have accomplished those things plus statistical success, we're still having this conversation about him because of that exact same system because that led to those numbers. So again, when you look at the other players, and I have
all your top 10 point guards.
Hold on, Tone. Keep going.
I'm about to get to your
Okay.
point. So if you look at the players that I would have ahead of him, almost all of them, not all, but almost all of them have championship and individual level of success that is on par, if not more. So Magic, obviously, I have Curry. And the other problem is I have Curry and West as point guards.
Right.
So if they were not in my point guard list, then yes, he would be in there. So I have Curry, West, Magic, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash. Even if we just go to the bottom, like GP, for example.
Right.
Like, especially you just said defense. GP's giving you defense. He's giving you scoring. The facilitation isn't to the same level as Stockton, obviously. Right. But is he in the system to even position himself that way? Is he? More than likely, he's in a system where he can record assists, but not to the same level as Stockton can. And I don't think GP is such a. I think Stockton's a better passer, but I don't think it's such a far-fetched to believe if GP was in that system and that's what they were running over and over again, that he would not have 10 assist seasons. I just don't believe that.
And I don't think that's ridiculous.
It's funny.
Go ahead,
so
Tone,
when you
I'm
put
sorry.
Nash, I'm curious. When you put Nash ahead of him, is it because he won the 2 MVPs? Because obviously it wasn't about playoffs.
MVP. Yeah, MVP.
Right?
Yeah, MVPs.
Okay. But even when you look at that, though, there were seasons where statistically, John Stockton put up similar, if not better numbers, better considering the era and the pace and the scoring, put up better numbers than Nash. So was Nash just getting those MVPs? And Stockton was a better defender than Nash. And Nash did it not only in a higher scoring league, but in a 7-second offense, which based on system helps you get more pens, helps you get more assists. So how are you putting Nash just over those MVPs? Which, again, if it was Stockton putting up those numbers in that same era, is Stockton winning those MVPs?
Add that to the fact, Tone, that Stockton had
the game overall, offense and defense.
Right.
Stockton's better than Nash.
Add that to the fact, Tone, that John Stockton had multiple seasons where he did finish in the top 10 in league MVP votes. He did do that, but
he never won.
He never won. But and I know that you don't like that low, but you got to remember
top 10 is a little too low. Top 5, I'm fine. Top 10 is a little low.
Right, but
being in the top 10 MVP is pretty significant.
I'm not saying it's not significant, but everybody else I have ahead of him have finished top 5, if not won the award.
Right. And I think Stockton, the highest he finished was 7th or 6th. I think he finished 7th or 6th.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Draymond Green has come 7th before.
The years that Nash won his MVPs, what was he? 18 and
wait. What does Draymond Green have to do with this?
I'm just saying that you don't consider Draymond Green an MVP level player.
But you said, but wait a minute,
the highest is 7th. The highest is 7th.
He's finished 7th. But wait a minute, Marz, you've told me that Draymond Green is his impact on the Golden State Warriors is unmatched.
Yes.
The fact that they won them NBA championships is because of which means that he could very well be the MVP. He could very well be the MVP of that team. Is that fair?
Well,
when you say he finished,
it's the difference between being the best player and being the most valuable player.
Steph is the most valuable.
Hold on a second. When Draymond finished 7th, where was he defensively?
That was
like
2016.
Was that the year that
he was second in depoy that year?
He was second in depoy.
It was a 73-9 win season.
So that's a significant thing, right? Because Rodman's finished in the top 10 in MVP conversations before too because of his defense and rebounding. So a guy who's the main facilitator on the best team, who's the second in depoy, he's going to get MVP votes. That's not my point. No, I'm not saying this. My point is you don't consider Draymond Green ever to be an MVP candidate. The same reason John Stockton, who came 7th, was never considered an MVP candidate. That was my only point. But he did it multiple times, not just once.
No, but he was still never. It's just no. It's just one.
Tell me about the MVP.
That was my only point.
That's fine.
The Stockton. I think it's 89. Let me double check. 89 is 7th. Then you got to go to 95, which is 8th.
I started saying Nash. The Nash 2 MVP years.
The Nash 2 MVP years.
17 and 12, 18 and 12.
He was like 18 and 10 and like 15 and
19 and 10 and a half in 2006. And I don't
Stockton
think
was.
Stockton had 3 years in a row with 17 plus and 13 plus
14
rebounds. 2 years with 14 plus rebounds.
Assists.
17 and 14.
Yeah.
17 and 14 for 3 years, and 16 and 13
and
for
14 is
17 and
crazy.
14.
Now, don't and take it a step further than that, Ron. Don't stop with 17 and 13. I want you to take it. I want you to take it a step further than that, because it's not just 17 and 14. It's 16 and 13 for 11 years at an assist to turnover ratio at 5-1.
And the cherry on top, where was he at in the league in steals? I'm assuming he was right there in the top 3. I don't know exactly, but
89, he led the league. Yeah, three a game, averaged about 3 a game for the.
And then Nash would then go.
That's all I'm saying is
Nash would then go in the playoffs and average like 22 and 12. He would have to pick up the slack scoring. So even Nash comprehended, hey, I'm probably going to have to pick up a bit scoring. And then in the process of doing so, lead them in consistent deep postseason runs. So that's what Nash would do.
Do you know what Nash did? Sorry, do you know what Stockton did those couple of years where he was averaging 17 and 14 in the playoffs?
What did he do?
He went 19 and 15 and 27 and 14 in the playoffs.
27 was like 3 games.
That's
right?
3 games. Let's try
care.
it again. Look, you don't care. No.
all right. Look.
27. I can find a series from Nash where he put up crazy numbers.
Seasons where he went 19 and 18. Like there were years he went 19 and 18, but still the year after, even 15 and 15, he went 15 and 15 the year after that. So like I feel like
in a 5 game series.
I feel like they're making him out.
Series.
I feel like they're making him out to be like trash, and he's not. He
don't think he's trash.
He's top 10,
no doubt about that. I think he's a top 5 point guard.
I said French. He's like number 10.
No.
All right, so that's fire low. All right, let's keep it moving. AMF with the super chat. Appreciate you, boss. He said 82 and 83 Sixers, 95 and 96 Bulls, 2000, 2001 Lakers, 16-17 Warriors in a 4-game tournament. Which team wins?
That Sixers team is underrated. Let me leave with that off the ripper.
Yeah.
The Sixers team is grossly underrated.
Is that the Moses year?
Yes. That was the year that they won it. That was the year that they won it. And add that and what it took for them to get to the NBA Finals that year, and how they basically handled and swept the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's a very
underrated. A very
MVP Malone, Dr. J, Mo.
Right.
They
swept it, and they won the NBA championship.
Bobby Jones, I think, made all defensive team that year.
Right,
a very underrated team.
Absolutely.
But that being said, though, that 2017 Warriors team is pretty ridiculous, man.
You know what? What will affect this, and this is where I think it's what era they're playing and what rules. Because
also nobody's stopping Shaq. That's tough. That's a good question.
That's a good question.
It does depend on the era, because I think if you put 01 Shaq in today's era, it looks much worse for him than if you.
I'm gonna take Lowe's strategy and say, well, since the 95-96 Bulls won the most games and won the championship, since they won the most games, it's going to be them.
I'm not even mad at that, because defensively, I think they probably
they have 3 first team defenders.
I think defensively, I think they are the best team up there. To be quite,
I would love to see.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see Shaq and Moses get it on. Oh my goodness, those two do. I would love to see that. That would be awesome.
Shaq is dominating him. Pause.
No, he is not low.
No,
that is not true. That is
no,
but
I also think Moses is also putting up numbers on him. But I do
so he's not dominating him, right?
I think people underrate how strong Moses was, and don't get me wrong, Shaq was a beast. But I'm telling you, Moses would surprise you that he could bang in there with him.
Yeah,
375 pound Shaq.
No, he wasn't that big.
425
pounds. Knock it off.
555 pound Shaq.
Shaq might have trouble.
Christopher D with the super chat.
Remember, 150 pound Olajuwon gave Shaq the business. So,
man. Damn, that Sixers team is good though. The people
that team is underrated.
That team is like crazy good actually.
Christopher
LeBron
D said,
Celtics?
"Is LeBron versus the Celtics a top 10 rivalry?"
No, because the team changed drastically post 2011 or post 2012. Like Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder getting credit for KG and Paul Pierce is crazy. I'm not.
I don't do players versus teams. It's team versus team or player versus player.
Yeah,
and it was a top 10.
You agree, Marz?
Yeah, I can't do
Oh, wow.
rivalries as a player versus a team.
What?
All right.
That's weird.
I
That's weird
appreciate
to
you,
me.
Marz. Merry Christmas, brother.
When I think about that Celtics Cavs playoff series, until James was able to level the playing field, they owned them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a rivalry.
Yeah, you gotta win, right? You gotta win.
And then they got old, and LeBron was in Miami, and
yeah,
went
that's
the
the
other
story.
way.
That's
And
how
then
the
after
story
1
goes.
year, they took one of their top big three.
I have a difficult time with that. They got old logic.
Yeah, that's what I said.
They were old.
They were older, but that's the story says that.
How old was KG at
I
that
know,
point?
but when you push
34,
somebody to
35?
7 games, you can't then tell me I'm 35, man. I got to.
Oh no, I'm not saying they lost because they were
pushing
old, but I'm
and
just
not
saying
just-
I can't
Jesus
like
Christ.
when some people are on the other side of their.
No, I get that, but then they push him to 7. They push him to 7.
And if we're gonna, and not only did they push him to 7, they were up in the series.
Yeah.
Don't leave that part out. They were up in that series.
Mhm.
That wasn't a situation where
Yeah,
they.
the Celtics were still good. I just can't consider it a rivalry when they're on basically their last legs at that point.
I see what you're saying, but
As
I
a
can't.
team.
Paul Pierce saying up 3-2. I'm 34, man. It's a wraps, man. I'm just gonna wrap this up, man. I'm gonna wrap this up.
Wait till you get there.
Luis
You might think different.
Luis
I'm
De
almost there,
Jesus
I'm getting
said
there.
thoughts on Anthony Davis. Will he come back? And if he does, will he continue to play at a high caliber, or is it downhill from here?
Cole, you gonna kill me for this?
Please, Fluent. Let me know.
I'm right here. I'm not
Get
there
off
yet.
the boat.
I'm
Get
not
off,
there yet, but I'm almost out.
bro. Get off the boat.
Because
man.
and the reason why I'm not out low is because I see what this guy does when he's healthy. I see it. I see how awesome he is, right? And I see what he can bring.
Chill is an abused girlfriend.
No, I'm not.
I know he hits me, but you know what? He always says sorry, and he always feels bad. And then he buys me a necklace. That's who you are. Leave it alone. Walk away. Walk away.
I'm almost out. I'm not out yet, but I'm almost out.
Stop
I am. I'm
Get some
almost
help.
out, Tone. And
Please
what he
get some
does
help.
is
Please
Get some help.
what he does is he tricks me. What he does is he tricks me with
Well, you
34
sound
and
like the
17.
girlfriend. You
I'm
sound
telling
like
you.
the girlfriend.
37 and 14, 38 and 15, 31 and 15, and they starting to win. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, here we go. And then all of a sudden,
get better.
He
breaks
tricks
down
me with
again.
flowers. He
He'll
tricks me with
change.
flowers and
Here we
chocolate.
go again.
He
Here we go
tricks me
again.
with I love yous.
Oh man.
Just saying.
He had a hard day at work. It wasn't his fault.
And he gave me a massage, and I know that's not really who he is. Jesus.
But the difference with me is when the difference with me is when I'm out. The difference with me is when I'm out, I'm out.
That's what she says too.
No, that ain't true. That is not true.
She
No.
says the same thing.
So let me ask you this question. What do I say about?
Till I wasn't on board with this.
Don't end up in the corner.
What do I say about Brooklyn?
Yeah, you're done with them. You're done.
What do I say about the Clippers?
You're done with them.
I'm not. I'm out. OUT. I'm out.
And I'm telling you right
OUT,
now,
I'm
I'm telling you right now, we get in the playoffs and Kawhi looking like Pete Kawhi again.
I'm out. I'm still out.
As your
I'm
friend,
still
you
out.
can do better, girl.
I'm still out.
We need to have an intervention, man.
I'm not sitting here. If Kawhi Leonard ends up leading the playoffs in scoring and the Clippers look like they're gonna win an NBA championship, I'm not getting sucked back into that. No, absolutely. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not getting sucked back into that. I'm out.
From Kroger's.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yo,
The problem that I'm having with Anthony Davis is when he breaks down, at the time when he's playing at such a high level. That's where it screws me up. It's not like he breaks down and he's on the other side of who he used to be. He's breaking down and he's 30 and 15. He's breaking down and he's 38 and 17.
What
Stuff like that.
Happen when he is on the other side? What you think gonna happen?
I don't know if I'm gonna be around that long, to be honest with you, Lo. I really don't. I don't think I'm gonna be around that long because I don't think he's gonna hold up. I just don't. I don't think he's gonna hold up that
Well, if
long.
you don't think he's gonna hold up, if you don't think he's gonna hold up, why not get off the boat then?
Because I still think.
There it is. There it
What
is.
did I say,
I still think that on some level, there's something else there.
That's what she says. You're saying the same thing she says.
Nah, man.
Oh, yes, you are.
All right, so we got to keep it pushing. The BMG show said, why does Ticket and Elder undervalue Shaq by overrating Kobe by suggesting he carried Shaq those years? Also, Duncan, Dirk, Giannis, KG, Malone, top power forwards ever. Top five.
And I do have Malone in my top 5 power forward to be fair.
I don't know how Giannis is over KG
Or Malone.
Yeah, he's not. He's
Well,
not.
if you have a championship bias,
Projecting. I think they're projecting.
yeah, and if you have championship bias, I can see why he's over Malone. If that's what you have, because I do, and that's why he's over Malone for me. But
he's over Malone for me because I don't rank Karl Malone, but
is that true, Lo?
Yes, I do have, but it's also partially projections. You've kind of
that's not what I was asking about.
What happened?
Check out Khalil in the chat. What was the question?
Why does Ticket and Elder overrate undervalue Shaq?
I think anyone who says Shaq, other than the first couple of years, carried Kobe or Kobe carried Shaq, I think you're all making mistakes.
You're wrong both ways.
They're like they were going hand in hand through a medal together. That's what no one was carrying anybody.
There's no way he was carrying a guy. For example, the San Antonio series in 2001. I mean, Kobe averaged 33 a game in that series. The Sacramento series in 2001, Kobe averaged 35. Well, flip that around in the San Antonio in the Sacramento series. Shaq went 33 and 17 in that series. I'm having a difficult time believing that a guy is carrying another guy averaging 33 and 17. Shaq went 40 and 20 in the first two games of that Sacramento series that they swept them. So the logic that he was carrying him, that's just not legit. But Bryant absolutely did his job. Shaq did his job. Now, Shaq was the opener. We starting it with Shaq. Bryant was the closer.
Yes.
Right? So the idea that Shaq was carrying Kobe, I would never say anything like that. I think he was the better player on the team at that time. But I also feel like there's no way that we know Kobe Bryant today had he stayed with Shaq, because Shaq would have never took a backseat to him.
Also, I don't think we would also view Kobe the way we view him today if he was legitimately getting carried. Like if he was legit getting carried, like part of the argument of why Kobe is great as he is that even during the years where he got quote unquote carried,
right,
he's still averaging 25 to 30. So like even during those years where y'all claim that it's a bit much.
Right.
After 2000 or 01, which I can't, after the first championship, like saying that somebody was carrying somebody is a stretch. That's just a lie.
We probably got like 30 more. Ron, let's go.
Christopher D. These debates are a little too peaceful. Bring lick it back. I need chaos and old man.
Bro, you got to stop saying lick it like that.
Yeah,
that sounds super wild, but it does.
Yeah.
We can run through them. Yeah, we can run. Pause.
Imam with the super chat. He said, "Marz, who better, Pele and Maradona or Bill and Wilt?"
Pele and Maradona.
Of course, he's gonna say that.
No, because they're both top 4 in the sport ever.
Oh,
Bill and Will aren't top 4.
Yeah.
They're like
I think
top
they
10.
are.
You got Bill Walton.
They're both in your top.
Bill Walton.
Bill Russell.
They're both in your top 4.
Bill Walton isn't top 75. Don't bring up his name.
Yeah, my bad. Bill, you got
You
Bill
have
Russell
Bill and Will
Wilt.
top 5. That's wow.
Russ is 5.
You do?
Rambling 4.
Wow.
Well, Pele and Maradona are top 4. They're number 2.
Pele and
number 3,
Maradona or LeBron and Jordan?
LeBron and Jordan, because they're both top 3. Pele and Maradona, only one of them is top 3. Yeah.
Sober Mask said, "Marz want to talk efficiency all day until it's time to say Trae Young not that good."
I never said Trae Young was efficient.
They keep building up another highway out here in 285, boy. The amount of bricks.
Yeah, he takes a lot of bad shots, Lo. That's one of the main reasons why he isn't as efficient as he should be. He takes it stagnates their offense.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this Atlanta Hawks offense at all.
At all.
They're not doing what I thought they were going to be doing. And I kind of put that on Nate McMillan, but I also put that on DeJounte and Trae.
Yep.
But
Trae can start his own real estate agent with the amount of bricks that he land, boy.
37 and 13. Big Ox Bob said, if Stockton was black, y'all would say he's number 1.
Big Ox, don't do that, yo. Don't, because I'm the biggest Stockton advocator, right? Nobody knows that. Don't do that, Big Ox. Don't.
Oh, that's Bob. That's right there, Bob. That's Bob.
Since we are Big Ox, do not do that. In fact,
I'm just saying. I
don't do that.
Think that if he had a little tan on him, he'd get a little more love.
Well, Malone got a tan on him, and we didn't say he number 1.
Yeah, right. Nah. I'm definitely not doing. I'm the biggest Stockton advocator on here. I'm the biggest Bird advocator on here. Don't nobody talk about them dudes more than I do. So that whole if Stockton was black, he'd be higher. Nah.
And with that being said, Chilltown, I'm not necessarily talking about the panel. I was talking about just in general.
Right.
Just in general consensus. I think he slept on.
To be honest with you, I think it's the opposite. I think the reason why he get like that because he's.
Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, let's keep it.
So why does Chris Paul get more love than John Stockton to the general public?
Number one, the reason why he does is because
yes, he does. They call him the point guard, and he ain't even the point guard.
And the reason why, and also you got to remember too that the NBA today, Big Ox, as far as viewership, is way different than what it was 30 years ago. You get to see Chris Paul way more today than I only got to see Stockton on Christmas. I got to see Stockton. I didn't get to see Stockton. I didn't get to see Stockton nearly as much as I would like to. And in the playoffs, you get to see Chris Paul at least 3-4 times a week because you got League Pass, you got ESPN, and you got NBA TV. So a lot more people, when you shoving it down their throat, I consider it like bad food. It's like eating it.
I'm following you.
Would you focus, Low?
I'm sorry. That was crazy.
Bad influence.
Would you focus, please? Now it's like bad food. If you eat it enough, you start thinking, you know what, this ain't really that bad. In fact, this is really good. When in reality, no, it's not. So I think that the reason why Chris Paul gets that much love is because of where the NBA is today, as opposed to where it was 35.
I don't want to make this a big issue, but I will say this: in generality, what he's saying, there probably is some truth to that because there are some people who will knock him down because of it, just like there are people, I'll use football as a reference, actual American football, black quarterbacks, they'll rate them lower because they're black, right? There was the guy that came out and said, I don't care if Lamar Jackson throws for 5,000 yards and wins the Super Bowl. He's not a top 10 quarterback.
He was so nasty.
There will be people that do stupid stuff like that. There will be.
Which also is nuts to me, Big Ox, because if John Stockton, if he was from Lithuania and he was doing what he was doing, how would we be talking about him? If he was from Greece, how would we be talking about him?
No, they would not. Do y'all see how they talk about Giannis and Jokic in the media right now?
How do they talk about the two-time?
The moment AD goes on a stretch, it's automatically as AD.
Immediately.
The moment AD has a stretch of game.
But that's ESPN.
I got to disagree.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I feel like they're pushing the overseas narrative. Like when
the only time I feel that is with Luka. Luka's like the only player I've seen they seem to be pushing.
Yeah.
But before Giannis, they were giving Giannis his love before the championship though.
When?
From what I hear, people were talking about Giannis. What'd you say?
He got a playoff choker.
Like that's what he was being called.
Kawhi packed him up. Jimmy packed him up.
I'm not saying I don't think it was fair, but I'm not saying it wasn't fair. But that's what the narrative was.
He was definitely not getting. He was getting love maybe from a lot of journalists and analysts who were voting for the MVP, but like the actual media on television, no. Yeah. Kendrick Perkins went the entire postseason run calling Chris Middleton the Batman. Like, what are we talking about? Well, matter of fact, in the finals, there were NBA players on Twitter making
trying to find a way to not get Giannis the finals MVP.
Exactly, to put Middleton in
which
there,
was like nuts to me. That was blowing my mind.
What if Giannis catches the Rona and then Chris Middleton has a 50 ball? Like they were literally just conjuring up these what ifs.
I think there is generally a bias against us Greek people, and we need to change that right now.
Okay.
Right, move on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we just gotta go.
Vanya with the super chat. He said Tony Parker over Curry, Steph.
No. Of course.
He's trolling.
That's next.
Yeah. We know that's goofy.
Iman said, did Bird have top 8 peak all time?
You could argue that.
Yeah, absolutely. You could.
Of course he did. His peak is higher than LeBron's.
Jesus. Man, but yeah, I think he had a top 8 peak, but over LeBron.
I already proved that to you last week, didn't I? 2 weeks ago.
He did not have a top.
I told you the numbers.
He didn't have a top 8 peak. I mean, a better peak than LeBron.
Is he not top 8?
He's top. Top 8. I'm willing.
Yeah, his peak is top 8 for me.
Yeah,
but LeBron's is top 2. So
his whole that's fair. I got him at
Chris with the super chat. He said most underrated playoff series. I like the 2009 Bulls versus Celtics series.
I do. I love that.
Crazy.
What was the 7 games? I think 4 of them went into overtime.
That's
like
the series where Ronzo was getting triple doubles, right?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think
Florida.
Marz is crazy. Marz is nasty.
Hey, that's the one. That's the one where D-Rose blocked that jumper at the free throw line from Rajon. Yeah, that was a crazy series.
I think Florida. I think that was the most. I think it was the most games that went into overtime in a playoff series.
The Spurs and Mavericks for me are
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that series.
Chris White with the super chat.
Series. I heard y'all bring it up a couple times today.
It's
I was watching
amazing.
it earlier.
It was awesome.
Dirk and Duncan were going.
Everything you're looking at, everything you're looking for was in it, no doubt.
Chris White with the super chat. He said AI played with fractures and broken bones, and you couldn't even tell. If it was 82 games, he played all 82 games and dropped somebody all 82 games.
Nobody's questioning Allen Iverson toughness. Nobody on this panel is questioning his toughness.
Is anybody questioning his toughness?
But I do have to be factually correct. He only played 82 games once, so let's be factually correct with that.
Zion Struved Tumor said, Ron, could you read my old super chat, L host, please?
Damn.
Ron, you L host, read my super chat.
You better be careful. The number 1 rated host might take over this show.
Oh my god.
Oh, what's this? Oh, interesting. Peak versus peak.
Is that a peak or is that?
Okay, whoa. That 26, that 27, 7-7. Just so you know, that's nonsense, Tone. From 2010 to 2015, he did that for 15 years.
I'm gonna say, is that his peak or is that like? Is
What
that
talking about?
That's just LeBron's career.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
Peak to me would be like a good 2-year stretch, like 2012 to 2013 or 2012 to 2014.
I think he had 3. I think Bird had 3 MVPs there too.
And James won it 4 times. And James won it 4 times in 5 years. Give me a break.
Hey, I don't make this stuff up. I'm just sharing.
Me neither.
Also, Bird played in a higher pace too, right? He did.
Yeah, the 80.
10 to 15 versus.
He was a high pace.
Probably.
They weren't
skilled, but they weren't skilled, right? So you gotta pay that into account too.
First of all, Marz ain't old enough to drink, so Marz is not drunk.
Hey,
Marz
I'm in the
not,
UK.
That's right. That's
I
am 12 years. I am 12 years old. So I
what is the age there, Marz? Is it 19 like here?
I think it's 18. I think.
Yeah,
it's 18. Okay. 19.
18?
I think so.
We're 19.
Is that crazy? 16? Is 18 crazy?
Yeah, we're 21.
Well, yeah, I know you guys are 21, but I just think that's
you can vote and die for your country. You should have a beer. Like, I don't know. I think that's fair.
I think the moment you're an adult, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I guess. I don't drink
6 more years.
We'll fix your country. We'll fix your country under the King's rule.
There's a lot more things that need to be fixing with the alcohol.
Iman wants to know, what NBA conspiracies do y'all believe in?
Steve Nash's MVPs. They stole and they conspired. It was I'll make a video about it, but Steve Nash did not deserve it.
Who did?
I got three. Go ahead, Tom. Quick. Otto Porter is Wilt's grandson. Jimmy Butler is Jordan's son. And Wilt never scored 100.
I'm absolutely on board with Jimmy Butler being related to Jay. I'm on board with that. No doubt about it in my mind. Jimmy Butler and Jay are related. No question about that.
I'm gonna tell you that
Jimmy Jordan.
The biggest one that's
Kings and Lakers is
thank you, Marz, because that's not even a conspiracy. That's
not even. I
didn't want to consider that a conspiracy.
That's not a conspiracy.
Which one you said, Marz?
Kings and Lakers.
Kings and Lakers 02.
That's not a conspiracy.
I don't think that's a conspiracy.
Nothing happened.
I'm a Laker.
Nothing wrong happened there.
No, Fluent. You're a Laker fan. Come on.
Come on.
It worked out exactly the way it was supposed to.
No.
It would have been terrible to live in Sacramento around that time.
Yeah, we was kicking their ass.
Nash winning MVP. I learned about it, and they did a lot of conspiring behind the scenes to get him that MVP or position him on that team.
So who? Okay, so position him on that team. I get with that. So who should have won it that year?
I think.
So let's say the 06 team.
Dirk should have won it in 06.
Do you think 05 was Nash? Because I think 05 was Nash.
05 was Nash.
Yeah,
But,
I think he
but-
deserved it. That's what I'm saying.
But do you know the story about how
I think I heard something like the Suns had people in the front office
Yeah.
who were working and they were like key to the rule change. They knew it was
Yeah.
coming, and that's why they went to get Nash.
Jerry
I heard
Jerry Colangelo literally was working
Yeah,
for the
that's
league
it.
officials when they were changing the rules, and he was also official for the Suns. And then who's a GM for the Cavs when LeBron was on their team?
Griffin.
Griffin was also a part of that team, and he was in the front office of Phoenix. And Griffin's been on record saying that they had an advantage over everybody else in the league.
I've heard.
He's been on record saying that. So they knew the rules were going to change, and then specifically and strategically built a team that nobody was even playing, a style of basketball that no one was playing at that time because they knew how the rules were going to be changed.
Is that why you think Nash is overrated?
That's part of it.
I think Nash should have been 4th that year.
4th in MVP voting?
Behind LeBron, Kobe, and Dirk.
Yeah.
I think Dirk should have won it. I think Dirk should be a back-to-back MVP.
I think Nash deserved those 7.
I should be fighting for Nash
because
because he's kind of Canadian, even though he wasn't born here. But like, I'm sorry.
Oh,
like,
you are the epitome of a home. I'm so sick of you. I swear.
I don't feel like
sick of you and your home. Oh my God.
Like he won an MVP. I'm sorry. Like, I know it's not the best player. He was clearly not the best player. I know that's not what matters.
Right.
But like, I'm sorry. I just no. I don't think he was even a top 5 player, and he's winning MVPs. I can't get with that.
I think he was responsible for almost 50% of their offense that year. He won it in 05 or 06, one of those two. But anyway,
so I'm mad Ticket's not here because that Powell and the Marz side of my argument is crazy to me.
All right, y'all. Zion tapped in. I guess this is the one he was talking about. He said, it's crazy to me that people hold losing to the Warriors in 15, 17, and 18 against LeBron, as well as in 2007. He was completely outmatched. Even if he plays better, the Cavs still lose in 5 in 2007.
Who holds 15, 17, and 18 against him?
The guy next to you. Bob?
I do. I mean, why wouldn't I? They were playing basketball. It's a team versus team. I'm not giving nobody the benefit of the doubt for losing to a team that's supposed to be better. These are all professional basketball players. You on the court, you lost.
Yeah, I don't hold them against LeBron, but if I think LeBron should have played better, I'm going to say I think he should have played like 07. He should have just.
Now 07, you can squarely. I wouldn't say the series because he did lose his second leading scorer, but he didn't play well.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. I think you should.
7, 9, 10, 11. He played poorly. Yes, you can hold that against him because he played poorly. But no, you can't fit against the Warriors.
15 is tough for me.
You think 15 is?
Yeah, 15 is a stretch. And 17. I mean, even though the Warriors add KD, and 18 with that
like
crew
when
he
he's
had.
getting swept. Listen, when his team's getting swept or 4-1, like to what Chill always says, if you get swept, you're not even close.
I don't think you're close.
He plays better, and they win 1, they win 2. Okay, he still loses, so who cares?
Right.
And FYI, for the person, Steve Nash being Canadian, he was born in South Africa, but then moved to Canada. So that's what I meant. He wasn't born here, and
Makes sense. The boy African. One time, Steve-O the GOAT said, "Do you think Booker or Pascal will make the top 15 in the future? And where do you rank Embiid right now in the league?"
Top
Who wants to
15,
take that?
I think Devin Booker's already a top 15.
Yeah, he's already top 15.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Pascal, I highly doubt it, and Embiid is like fringe top 5.
Well, wait a minute, Marz. I mean, we talking about Pascal, who is an All NBA performer. I think he's right on the. I think he's on the cusp of being a top 15.
I think he's on the cusp.
For me, Pascal's 16 through 20. For me, he's
Pascal's on the cusp, but dropping because I think we're not going to see anything better. This is his peak, and I think there's other people catching him.
I do agree with that.
That's fair. All right, that's fair.
I agree with Marz said. Booker's already top 15. Pascal probably won't get it, and then Embiid is like fringe top 5.
I had booked top 10 before the season started.
Drink more water since we're on this thing. Fluent.
I had him at 10.
Oh, yep. Sorry. So when I said Fluent, this is drink more water. When I said Fluent was Giannis wasn't Greek. Say that again. What? Fluent. So when I said Giannis wasn't Greek, you said I was wrong. You are wrong because he was born in Greece. That's what I said. He was born in Greece. Nash was not born in Canada. Sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
And
start bench cut. Ja, Prime Rose, and Russ.
I'm starting Russell Westbrook. I'm benching Prime Rose, and I'm cutting Ja Morant.
Goodbye.
I'm starting Ja, benching Russ. And Rose is out of here because he's gonna get hurt and ruin my team.
Oh my god.
He's
not gonna get hurt. Tom Thibodeau isn't playing 45.
You wild for that, Tom. You super wild for that. You're not wild for that. You super wild for that.
Ja's my second favorite player in the NBA. I am sticking with Ja.
Ja's out of there.
Yeah, Ja's out of there.
Hitman Hustle said, chill. I never really hear you talk about Pistol Pete. Do you think people underrate him because they never really saw him play?
Nah, because Pistol Pete was all about the show. Pistol Pete was not about winning. Pistol Pete was not about all the Pistol Pete was about was the show and the show only. That's it. And that's why people don't talk about him nearly as much.
He's respected as one of like the greatest college players ever, right?
They averaged 35 a game and all time in the number one all time in the SEC. Still to this day, he's the number one scorer in SEC history. To this day, he only played 3 years, by the way.
That'll never get broken, man. Today's game is just
he averaged 35 a game.
Too talented for that.
Yeah.
All right, I got a few more super chats to get to. YGB Mike said, can we talk about how Kyrie has taken a step defensively this year?
Oh, give me a break.
When it comes to Pete, who y'all taking?
Give me a break, yo. I'm so sick of here. This is garbage, yo.
You know what I love? Hold on. I'm gonna use some more low logic because Low said Isaiah Thomas said this. Well, Kyrie Irving said that we're just being controlled by someone who has a joystick, so he hasn't gotten better. Whoever's controlling him has. So next,
was he talking about Steve Nash? Steve Nash was controlling him.
The stimulation.
we're in a simulation right now. Yo, YGB Mike, just so you know, Kyrie Irving, we are in year 12 right now. And you talking about this dude taking a step defensively? We're not in year 3 or year 4. We're in year 12, which means that the other 11 years, what was we getting from him defensively?
So who you taking peak, Kyrie or Dame?
I'm taking Dame.
Damian Lillard, no question about that. I'm on record saying that.
I think Kyrie's a better defender though, but I'd still would take him.
I'm on record saying
Dame is one of the worst defenders in the NBA. That's why.
Yeah, OG, I'm under the pressure, man. Look, man, the Nets are doing better. You made an argument. No, you made an argument that the reason why they were losing is because Kyrie didn't play and they looked better without Kyrie. You made that argument.
I think they 12-4 with him back in the lineup, something like that.
So do you take back? You take back that take?
That they're rolling out with him back in the lineup?
No, you can't ask him. He's off the Nets. He's not talking about them anymore because when he cuts them off,
I think you're allowed to get back on the Nets because they got rid of Steve Nash.
No. He said he's done. He's done.
I'm out.
Like he said.
However, I will tell you this, Lo. They are rolling with Irv back in the lineup. They are. Okay. Yes, they are.
Are they going to do anything this year, like in the playoffs?
He said no. He's saying no.
I don't think they're going to make the finals or anything, but I do think they're contenders to make the finals.
If KD and Kyrie were averaging 50 apiece, he would still say no.
I'm not going to go that far.
Whoa!
I'm not going to go that far because 50 is nuts to say that.
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
San8 said, think about a center averaging 33 and 10 and leading the league in scoring again coming off the bench in the All-Star game. Embiid is so disrespected, shaking my head.
Well,
you know what? I actually agree with that. I feel like we do because of his antics, which nobody likes. I think we do undervalue how good Embiid is because he's a bit of a I'll not say the word.
Oh wow.
I would like to see Embiid, and I'm in the minority with this. I don't think he rebounds nearly enough for me.
You know what I didn't like last night when I think they beat the Raptors last night. He was killing them inside, killing them. End of regulation. He takes the ball outside the 3-point line, 2 dribbles, and takes a long jump shot. Dude, get inside and finish the game.
That's what they drew up.
Nuts.
He wanted a repeat of what he did in the playoffs. Pretty much the exact same situation.
Yeah, get inside. He was killing them. They have no center on the roster, dude. Go inside, get your bucket, and go home.
And him not making an all-star starter is disrespectful because the same thing you're saying can be said about Tatum, KD, and Giannis. I mean, one of them had to come off the bench.
Bobby, do you have anything to say about Joel Embiid?
Come on, man. Don't get me started. I don't know how you could be that big and be soft. Like sometimes he plays aggressive.
Oh, that's a nicer word than what I was going to use. Okay,
I'm giving Joel the soft tag all day.
I just don't think that a dude that big, not only that big, that athletic, is only averaging 10 rebounds. He should be a 12 to 15 rebounder guy a night.
Not to nitpick, because Fluent's brought this up a couple times, but it's really like 9.7, so it's not even fully 10.
Right. This dude should be a much better rebounder than what he is.
We're going to nitpick. It's actually 9.9. Okay.
Okay.
My thing with Joel is I want to know what his offensive rebounds are like. Because somebody like him,
1.7.
He does not get on the offensive glass nearly as much as he should. And you know why? You know why?
It's because he's so far away from the basket.
Yeah, if he's playing far away from the basket, yeah, that's part of the problem.
That's exactly why.
Now I thought I was going to change though after Simmons left, because I thought part of the reason why he was so far from the basket is because of Simmons, but Simmons is not even there anymore, and he's still a mediocre offensive rebounder for his size and height.
Joel want to be cute. If it's not cute, he don't want to do it.
He's still good though. I like him.
And you know why, Ox? Because that's the NBA today.
Right.
That's exactly why. It doesn't look good to have 22 and 15. That doesn't look good to do what Rudy is doing, where he's 17 and 15. That doesn't look good.
And that's why he's never going to get a ring, because you got to win ugly to get a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Still the second best big man.
Like Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis is horrible playing. Absolutely. He gets dunked on. He gets blocked. Yeah, absolutely. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Cartel Cam 2 times said, who wins in a 7-game series? 2019 Raptors or the 2021 Bucks?
I think the Bucks beat
Raptors.
I think the Raptors win.
Here come Fluent. 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 Oh my God.
I think the Bucks are better.
I got Bucks. Yeah, I got Bucks.
Sorry, I forgot about our number one fan.
Oh my God. I got the Bucks.
Stan 601 said, what player is considered Jordan and Bron rival during their time period? And Chris Bosh is extremely underrated.
Number one, Chris Bosh is not underrated. Number two, Jordan's rival was Isaiah Thomas. And Bron, I think it was Curry. And before he got to Miami, it was Paul Pierce, but it wasn't really because that was a one-sided rivalry. But then when he got to Miami, I think that it was Pierce, because they evened it up when they started beating Boston, and then it was Duncan.
You know what it really was? It was the Raptors. Let me chill. I'm just saying that because of Fluent.
Why is Chris Bosh not underrated?
LeBron owns LeBronto like Aaron Rodgers owns my Bears, dude. Like it's not even a conversation.
What's wrong with Chris Bosh? Like, I don't know where he's rated, but
that's the thing.
We don't talk about
underrated thing. It depends. Where?
That's where I'm at with it. I don't know where Chris Bosh is rated. Like, should we be talking about him like we talk about the pantheon of four men? Like we talk about Malone and Stockton, Malone and KG.
No.
Should we be talking about him like that? So when you talk about him being should we be talking about him like we talk about Chris Webber and Elvin Hayes and guys like that? Should we be talking about him like that? No. So the logic that he's underrated, where do you have him rated?
I think they just getting that because of him playing next to LeBron and probably not getting the credit that he should receive for adjusting his game to allow that team to function.
And even if that's true,
that is 100% true. It is that he absolutely did.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it more than where he ranks in terms of power forwards.
Yeah, I think that's what his contribution. If he would have stayed in Toronto, he probably would get more respect, because before he went to Miami, I thought Chris Bosh was one of the top power forwards in the league. He wasn't number one, but most people did.
Most people did. Toronto was a bad franchise. That was a fringe playoff team with him, but he was definitely their best player. And then he went and took a third role to win a chip.
So who he is, Tone, is he's a number one on a playoff team. He's probably a number two on a championship contender, and he's a number three on a championship team. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
All right. So,
although I think he could be a 2 on a championship team, depending
on who the one is.
Depending on who the one is, and
the rest of
like I always say, the role players, man. I'm telling you, players 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are what really wins.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah, like the ones that were around Iverson. I agree.
You never won a chip.
Zero just vibing. Tapped in and said, Rose still getting an MVP chance. Much love.
That's one of the most.
I think everyone feels bad what happened to Rose. It's tough when you lose players to injuries like that. All of them that we lost like that. It's horrible.
Like that was a great day. When he scored, what he dropped 42 when he was in Minnesota.
50.
It was 50.
Oh, it was 50.
5-0.
That was a great day for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
50.
Lo, did you just say like AD?
Yeah.
I think he meant Grant Hill.
No, we're definitely not going to see another version of AD like we saw this year, man. Sad, man. Y'all do know it's over, right? Y'all do know the Lakers. This era is done with, right? You know that, right?
Oh, I knew they weren't doing anything anyway, but it's AD's getting injuries I never knew were possible, which is sad.
Yeah, he
What-
got
what
hurt
is his injury right now?
I didn't
What
know
happened?
you could. I didn't know you could twist your ankle in the air.
in midair. He twisted
And be
it.
out for a month, Lo.
Yeah,
a month.
He's
Because-
inventing
What's
injuries.
wrong with this dude, Joe?
He's
Because my
inventing
boy
injuries.
Ticket
and
isn't
that's
here.
what's
A
wrong.
It's
month?
because he's Terry Cloth, which means he's very soft.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's hard to defend.
I told you, and you didn't listen.
And then Brian Windhorst thinks is actually worse than what they're alluding to because he could be out longer. So
They just said I thought it was from 1 month to maybe 3.
yeah, it just jumped just like that.
I think it's the same thing with Curry. That shoulder injury is way worse than what y'all think it is.
I agree with that because that looked too innocuous for it to like injuries that look like nothing. They end up being something much more severe than.
Damn,
Tell
Marz.
us.
Y'all gonna get another
So what-
pick. Y'all
Where
drafting
is it going
AD
for Victor? Where is it going for Victor? That's
Hey, it's too late for that. Man.
So what? AD got hurt on the takeoff, like when he jumped.
You didn't see it?
He jumped his foot like hit Jokic and now he's out for a month.
What are they calling it? They're calling it an ankle
Like-
A
sprain.
foot
Right.
injury,
AD.
a foot sprain.
That's
Hey,
foot
Big
sprain.
Ox, I'm gonna take this camera and smash it right now. I swear to God, yo, I can't handle this. I can't, man.
Anytime there's a
can't handle this, man.
anytime there's a
Why
I
you
can't.
mad? Why
I
you mad
can't
at us?
handle
Be
it.
mad
I
at
really
yourself.
can't.
anytime
can't
there's a
handle this,
non-contact injury, it's now going to be called an AD.
Because this dude, he gets me back on the hook with this 30 and 15 and this 38 and 19 and this 44 and 20, and I'm like, yo,
you going?
this
Are
dude
you-
is
are
back.
you-
The
Are you a
Lakers-
Laker?
I'm actually not, but I just
No.
I don't like to see guys who have all that uber talent.
Yeah, AD
Break
needs to
down
take
like
himself.
that.
All right, next.
Bro,
Man.
you're the girlfriend. Fluent was right. You're the girlfriend. Come on. He literally just had a moment. You had the moment out of nowhere. Nah.
Oh
He
man.
some old pictures of their first date and was like, "Wow,
Oh, boy.
those chocolate were delicious."
Yo, I'm about to end this. Y'all fucking me up right now. Starting with you, Low, ending with you, Fluent. All right, man. Drink more water said, Embiid said, but when you play a team like Toronto, they don't really care. It seems like most of the time they don't care about winning. They just want to shut down the other star players.
Sounds like a guy who's been shut down.
I do think Toronto make it like a big deal to like limit stars. You see the way they defend
That's
Steph,
Nick Nurse.
KD.
Nick Nurse's whole defensive schemes because he's got like 32 of them are shut down the best player and see if the other guys can beat you.
Mhm.
That's not a bad philosophy.
I don't
Most
think
of
that
the
means
time
you
it
don't
works.
care about winning. Yeah, I don't think that means
Most
you
of the
don't care
time
about
it
winning.
works. That's the plan.
Yeah. I just so you guys know, shout out to the GTA Mavericks, my U10 team this week who shut down everybody in our tournament, went 5-0 with a 154 point differential for the 5 games on our way to a championship. Yeah, because we played a trapping zone, shutting down their best player. Yeah, baby.
Don't come out
Yeah,
that
baby.
zone.
You need a coach? You need a coach? Come check out Fluent.
150-point differential.
Yes, sir, in 5 games.
Five
5
games?
games. That's
Those my
crazy.
boys.
That's 30 points.
That's
a
30,
game.
yeah.
That's
30
crazy.
Hey,
Yup.
Fluent. I like that type of stuff, but you're gonna get banned. Somebody's
Yes,
mom's gonna report you.
Oh yeah, they were complaining already. And I said, don't worry. In the second, because we were already up 30 at half, so I pulled them back and let the other team just shoot freely.
Me and Ron got fired for that a couple years ago.
Oh,
for
wow.
real?
Yeah.
I tried to tell this fool.
If you're in the greater
You see
Toronto
Ron
area,
face? Ron
if you're
face
in
like,
the
you must
if you're
screw
in
the
the
money
greater
up.
Toronto area and you want to
Real.
win, come check out the GTA Mavericks. You go check us out, GTA.Mavericks on IG.
You see
Sign
Ron
up.
face? Yo,
We
you
got
the one that
house
screwed
league,
up
we
the
got
money.
rec teams, we got
We had a good gig going.
Bring
We had
them.
a dope gig going, and here you come. Want
I
to
had
blow
big-
teams out? You gonna get us fired?
I had big aspirations, you know.
I'm gonna go easy moving forward.
In the next upcoming years, man, some of them players, boy, well, some of their mamas too, man. I was looking forward to that.
What in the world?
Oh.
You need to wrap this up. You need to wrap it up.
Yo,
Oh, bruh.
Tyrone Winston with the super chat. He said, "Better player, excluding accolades, Bird or Magic. Y'all made this long ride in this 18-wheeler enjoyable.
No doubt.
Appreciate you guys."
Yo, Fly Ty, I think that I think Bird was the better player for a long time. I think Magic passed him in '87 after they won in the NBA Finals. Up until that point, I think Bird and Magic were close, but I still think that Bird was the better overall player. And I think Magic ended up passing him at 87, and then he kept on going.
Agreed.
I also think Bird was the better player.
And to that injury, T-Mac or B-Roy, I would take T-Mac or B-Roy.
Same.
Got to take T-Mac.
Hey, Brandon Roy was something to see, though, boy. I was in the building that night. He put 50 on Phoenix that night. I was in the building that night.
Yeah, you always in the building, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'll say that Brandon Roy. I said that Roy is underrated because I saw what's her name? I forget her name. Trista from Heat Check. That show, saying how because he was boring. She didn't like him because he was boring. That's another one where he's. I still got T-Mac, but I think it's closer than people think because Roy, they say he was boring.
Right.
I'm taking B-Roy, Seattle's finest, Garfield legend,
You would.
Dub legend. And on top of that, Ron Artest said he was the hardest to guard.
He just chatting.
Yo, Matthias back in the building tapping in. He said,
Kobe said T-Mac was the hardest to guard. But anyways, keep going.
I'm back, said Matthias. Top 5 PGs all time. Still stand on the Stockton take.
His
What
son,
does that say?
Ronaldo.
Hey, son, say Ronaldo better, Marz. But he only top 5.
No.
I don't know what
His son says Ronaldo's better. I'll translate for you. His son, Mateus' son, says that Ronaldo is better, Marz, but he's only 5. His son is only 5.
Oh, okay.
L host can't even.
He'll wisen up. He'll wisen up with age. When I was younger, when I was 5, 2 years ago, I also thought Ronaldo was better.
2 years ago?
I thought it was 4 years ago, actually.
Marz, so is it safe to say that you and Dub will also wisen up with years?
Yeah, when I turned 15.
Mars will.
Years.
I don't think the other one will.
Why did y'all? I knew if Fluent was gonna say something about Dub,
I couldn't help myself, love. My bad.
Yeah, that dude doesn't want to get smart.
See,
but my top 5 PGs: Magic, Steph, Oscar, Isaiah, Chris Paul. That's my top 5.
Can we get everybody?
Magic, Isaiah, Stockton, Oscar, Jason Kidd.
And Steph's not a point guard, right?
No.
Okay.
And West isn't either.
Jerry West, who else? Steph, Jerry West, James Harden, Allen Iverson. Those dudes is in the same category.
I got Magic, J Kidd, Oscar, Magic, J Kidd.
Yeah, he did.
Magic,
Is this an order? Is this an order?
Somewhat. Just
what?
My top 5. But what? I got Magic, J Kidd, Oscar, Stockton, Rajon Rondo.
Oh my Jesus!
In the top 5 all time?
Hey, big. Hold on. You got Rondo as a top 5 point guard all time. Explain yourself, sir.
I'm gonna just go with Marz's peak. I'm gonna just go with the peak. I'm gonna go with the peak from 2009 to 2013. Rajon Rondo was that guy.
It wasn't even a great peak. What? It wasn't even a great peak. What? He said it's peak.
Hey, there's a little trolling in there, but those are my favorite point guards.
Yeah, that's super.
Oh, your favorite.
I really want to put Penny Hardaway in there, but I'm a chill.
I would accept.
I'd accept Penny Hardaway.
I would accept that over Rondo.
I'll accept favorite. Okay.
Yeah, these is my favorite guys.
Okay,
that's fair.
Dub is gonna have a field day with that.
Dub know better. He better leave me alone.
Oh no, we got to clip that. That's gonna get 100 million views.
I know.
I had a conversation earlier with Dub too, and he said he was cooking you last episode, Bob. And that's no lie.
I'm not mad at him for feeling that way. I mean, at least he's confident with what he says. I know he's not just trolling. I know he means what he's saying. He's wrong, but I mean, at least he means it.
Y'all need another editor, man. Dub is turning player choices to his own personal highlight reel, man. It's ridiculous.
He kills me on some of the
edits.
Yeah, some of the edits. I'm like, Dub, that's not even what I was trying.
I know. I'll be like, I didn't really even say that, but Dub is like, nah.
Or you continue with what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
like you shut me down with what I was trying to say.
Because they killing me with a KD take. Like, how dare you? Oh my God, KD not top 5?
I'm like, wait a minute. Can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah, literally 2 sentences later, I'm like, yeah, but he's like fringe. He's like right outside the top 5. And
leave that part out. It's important to mention that.
And it was like right before he went on this stretch he's going on right now. So now he looks even worse. Double wait a week. He's like, oh, KD's playing better. And I'm gonna let Marz and Lo look dumb as hell. Yeah, ridiculous, bro.
All right, man. We need to hire a third-party impartial editor.
We got 2 more super chats. Last 2 of the night. Jerry Bearfield said biggest conspiracy is Scottie guarding Magic in the NBA Finals. Jordan guarded Magic 85% of the time.
That's not conspiracy.
That's not conspiracy. That's just a misconception.
That's
It's
just
a misconception.
People who didn't watch the series listening to a stupid false narrative and regurgitating it because they don't actually watch basketball. They just regurgitate what they hear.
Right.
Who made that narrative though?
Because he did guard, man.
I don't know. I don't know who made it.
I think Nick Wright did.
Oh, is it? Oh, that makes sense.
It's been said long before Nick Wright. It's just that I think it's more so team defense, like switching off. So I don't think it was.
Last time I checked, it wasn't that much team defense. It was just Michael guarding him.
No,
the only game I remember was Scottie guarding Magic was like game 2.
It was, that's only because Jordan got 2 quick fouls in the first
he was
quarter.
in foul trouble. But
they moved him over. They moved Scottie over to Magic in game 3 too. But then Scottie fouled out of that game.
He fouled out, and then after that, it was primarily all the way Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
This the last one, Ron.
Top 5 all-time small forwards.
Now would we have James Worthy?
Can I just quickly on that one, because like everyone said that Magic destroyed Jordan in game 1 and that's why they switched him off.
No, he didn't.
I want to be clear. I want people in the chat to be more fluent. Magic 19 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, triple double, nice. 4 for 5 from the field. Just so the guy that smoked him. Yeah. Jordan 36, 12 and 8. Like, come on, man.
And a lot of his free throws came off of transition buckets when they were just getting out in the open.
Exactly.
It wasn't he barely even took a shot attempt during that game.
If you go back and you watch the clincher game 5, they shut the door on Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that overtime they shut the door on Magic as well.
Shut the door on him.
Is that meaning like shutting the door on him? Is that meaning like a team?
Yes.
No, I don't. And in overtime, in my opinion, Michael like put him scoreless. Like I don't even think Magic scored that much even in that fourth quarter before the overtime started. Michael Jordan was like straight up. Nah, this is it.
They slowed him down. Really... They definitely slowed him down. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
All right, top 5 small forwards. I think everybody got the same ones, right? Everybody, right?
Bron, Bird, Dr. J, KD.
Don't do it. Please don't do it. We almost done, Marz. Don't do it. Do not put his name in that.
Do it, Marz.
It's not Scottie. It's not Scottie.
Thank you. It's not Scottie. Thank you.
Oh my God.
It's not. Thank goodness.
James, Bird, KD, Doc, Pippen.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Lowe's, you can fight that all you want. Scottie Pippen is a top 5 small forward all time. No doubt about it.
Why isn't Havlicek above him?
I was gonna say Havlicek is who I was thinking of, but I didn't.
No, I got.
No! Stop, OG. Why isn't Havlicek above him?
Why isn't Havlicek above Scottie Pippen? Scottie Pippen was better at his job than Havlicek was at his job.
What?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, Scottie Pippen was better at his job than Havlicek was at his job. Scottie Pippen was a better defender than Havlicek. Scottie Pippen was a better distributor. Only thing Havlicek did better than Scottie Pippen was score. That's it.
Very important. That's a very important.
It is very important. However,
but
when you
wasn't
running with a dude,
wasn't Havlicek's job.
Exactly. When I'm running with a dude in Chicago that's averaging 30 a game, that ain't my job neither. That's why I do all the other stuff.
But John
Havlicek was a good passer as well.
Like, he was a really good passer and a really great defender.
And I'm glad you mentioned that he was a really good passer and a really good defender. So when Scottie Pippen retired, he was all-time numero uno. Small forwards in assists. Numero uno.
No.
Number one passer.
I got Scottie's a better passer and defender, but I'm saying the gap between their scoring prowess and potential and impact is much wider than the defensive and playmaking.
Not to mention in the half court, John Havlicek was just so much better than Scottie.
Y'all act like Scottie couldn't put the ball in the basket though.
Well, not to the tier of John Havlicek, no.
I mean, he didn't have to. He was playing with Jordan, but
right.
I also think
even when he didn't play with Jordan.
Thank you.
Elgin Baylor too.
Pippen is not top 5 because you got Bird, James, Dr. J, Elgin Baylor, and then Katie and Dominique, all better than him.
Thank you.
After Dr. J, the love stops.
Whoa.
Chill. Why isn't Elgin Baylor better than Scottie Pippen?
Because Scottie Pippen was a better defender. He was a better facilitator. And I think Elgin Baylor was a better rebounder and a better scorer. I'm not going to fight that part.
Significantly better scorer and significantly better rebounder.
Right? But I think Scottie Pippen was better at his job than Elgin Baylor was at his job.
Wasn't Havlicek also just as good, if not a better rebounder?
Then who? Scottie Pippen?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No. And add that to the fact that when Scottie Pippen played, he played in a different era. Now, don't get me wrong, not Elgin Bell. I'm sorry. Havlicek played in the era with dominant big man. He played with Bill Russell, which made his rebounding a little less difficult, as opposed to Scottie Pippen, who was playing with Bill Cartwright. So he had to do that a little bit more. Add that to the fact that he played in an era where he had to deal with big guys like Jabbar. He had to deal with big guys like Olajuwon. He had to deal with big guys like Shaq. He had to deal with big guys like David Robinson. He had to deal with big guys like Mutombo. He had to deal with big guys like Alonzo Mourning. So he had to deal with big guys like that. So in terms of his ability to rebound, and he still was a 6'7" rebounding game guy.
Hey, Ron, someone just brought up something. So because I don't want you're right, I don't want Dub to take this and clip it. So let me be straight with my order, because I think I said Bird before James. James, Bird, Dr. J, Elgin Baylor, Dominique Wilkins. Why is KD not on the list for those in the chat? Not because I hate KD, because I don't rank active players for the 10 millionth time.
Okay, so chill, OG. Why is KD over Scottie Pippen?
Why is KD over Scottie Pippen? The same reason why Scottie Pippen is over Elgin Baylor, because I think KD was better at his job than Scottie Pippen was at his.
But if you're saying that Scottie's a better defender facilitator than KD, he also won more championships.
Better defender, way better defender.
Yeah. So
bad defender. Yeah.
Havlicek definitely. I just feel like Havlicek was better at his job. Havlicek, for him to pick up the scoring load post the Bill Russell era and able to lead them back to the championship and be Finals MVP and 8-time All Defensive. I think he's just better at his job.
But so was Elgin Baylor. Then Elgin Baylor was.
I agree. I
think both of them are over Scottie Pippen.
I think both of them are over Pippen. That's why I was like, I don't want to
anything.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen wasn't.
Elgin Baylor was better at more things than Pippen. Than KD is better than more things than Pippen. If that makes sense.
The only reason why I would say
the issue I have with Elgin Baylor is I think defensively he was much worse than John Havlicek was, and as a playmaker, that's my difference between.
And
Elgin
the only reason why I didn't want to focus on Baylor is because of lack of championships, because I didn't know of how OG was going to go lean with the championships. But Havlicek checks off all the boxes with Pippen, and if not, is better. Even when Jordan wasn't there that year and a half, it's not like Pippen became a 24 or 25 point per game scorer.
Right.
But when they needed John Havlicek to be that, he became that.
Which is what I said when I said that he was a better scorer than Scottie Pippen, which I cannot fight that. However, the other stuff that he did that better than Havlicek, which entails with his job.
But KD is the same argument. KD's a better scorer, but everything else, Scottie Pippen did better than KD.
And the stuff that Scottie Pippen did and the stuff that KD did with his job, KD was a better scorer. That's it. That is correct, right?
Fluent. It's Fluent. I'm gonna say my own name. LeBron is my one and only exception. Guys, have you not been watching? LeBron is my one and only exception to the non.
He's been playing 20 years.
Yeah,
he's my one and only exception to the.
I mean, if you ain't got your mind made up about James by now,
I've said that multiple times. LeBron is the one exception to the. He's the only one still playing that I give a pass to, which tells you when people call me a LeBron hater, how high of regard I hold him, because I made an exception for him. And
now, to answer your question, Marz, like we were talking about, so Kevin Durant, his ability to score. I think the gravity of his ability to score, even though all the other stuff that Scottie Pippen did, not just KD's ability to score, his ability to defend, I don't think it was as good as Scottie, but it was good enough. But the separator with him was his ability to score, but he wasn't as good of a scorer as not Havlicek wasn't as good of a scorer as KD.
When was the Durant this defensive player? I think Pippen to Durant miles apart defensively.
Miles no apart. Comparison at all.
I don't think they were close. No doubt about that.
You could argue Scottie's the best perimeter defending wing of all time.
He's in that conversation. Yeah.
You could also argue KD's the best scoring wing of all time, which means they're both the best of all time.
But then when it comes to playmaking, like OG just said that Scottie Pippen
would have an argument with that, but sure.
I'm just saying that you can make the argument.
You can make the argument.
Yeah, you can make the argument. Yeah.
OG just said that Scottie Pippen, when he ended his career, had the most assists for a small forward. So by that, so again, we get back to the whole. If we're checking off the box thing,
right?
You could easily argue for his job, what he was asked to do. He did it better than KD, especially because playing what his role was to be the second option to Jordan. He did that so well that they won 6 championships and played pivotal roles. the job of which KD was supposed to be the number one option to a championship team, and didn't do that until he got to the Golden State Warriors.
But he did do it though.
But he did do it. He did do it. But you could easily
That's
argue who did their job better. It's still Pippen, though.
Right. And when you think about Kevin Durant as a number one, he did ultimately do his job. And it ultimately led to NBA championships. And add that to the fact that Scottie Pippen, he was also a 1-2. And it didn't translate to what it translated with
that's not
Kevin
his
Durant.
job, though. But that wasn't his job.
What wasn't his job?
To be a number one.
Well, yeah, it was his job. When Jordan left, he was the guy.
So if you're saying that, then going for 1 year. But if that's the case, when again Havlicek, when Bill Russell and them all left and he became the guy, he got the job done, won a championship, Finals MVP, 27 points, I think 9 rebounds, 5-6 assists. He did the thing that they needed him to do. He became that player. So why wouldn't Havlicek be higher?
Because that 1 year that Scottie Pippen didn't, those other 12 years, those other 9 years, those other 9 years that Scottie Pippen was the number 2 outweigh that.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just.
How come every time we say a fact about a player, we are a hater if someone doesn't agree?
No.
Because they don't. The reason why they say that is because they don't have anything to tell. They don't have anything intelligent to say. That's why.
Low hates KD. Fluent hates KD. Did I say anything untrue?
Yeah, no. It's not that. It's just that I think that especially Havlicek at that time was making all NBA and all defensive teams and was leading that team to the postseason, even when Dave Cowens wasn't prepared yet to take that role and responsibility.
You're very high on Havlicek.
I am too.
But he played a role in every single position. He played it coming off the bench when they needed him to be a starter. He was a starter. They won there. When they needed him to be the lead scoring option in the number one, he did that, and he still won as well. He literally every responsibility that he was given, he did it, excelled in it. It translated to championship. Statistically, it backs up as well. The individual accolades back up as well. It's if I'm not mistaken, 8. It's like 8 all defensive teams.
8 of them.
8 all defensive teams, 11 all NBAs, Finals MVP, 8-time championship, 13-time All-Star. Like it literally checks off all the boxes.
And I do think that Havlicek was, because I got those two right behind each other. So in addition to me having those two right behind each other, I think that you could be better at your job and somebody else be a better player. Kind of like where I feel like with Steph Curry and kind of that's a different conversation.
I hear what
that's
you're
a different
saying.
conversation because when I think about Scottie Pippen, I just feel like he was better at his job than I think Havlicek was the better player, but I think Scottie Pippen was better at his job and at his role at the small forward spot.
So I'm not very well versed on Havlicek as you guys are. I know he was a very good player, but I'm just a big Scottie Pippen advocate. So
me too. I dug Scottie. I think Scottie's the most underrated player in NBA history.
And I think he's the most overrated.
Hands down.
I think he's overrated.
I got him hands down the most underrated player.
I think he's top 5 overrated.
My small forward list is pretty biased, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But
say it. I want to hear it. Say it real quick.
As top 5 point guards,
he has Scottie Pippen at number 3. I guarantee it.
LeBron, Bird.
I got Bird, Bron.
Bron.
I got Bird, Bron, Scottie, Dr. J, Kawhi.
That's not ridiculous.
No, that is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. That's
Kawhi?
ridiculous. No.
Yeah,
Kawhi. Kawhi.
Yeah, I got Kawhi.
The guy who plays less games than AD.
Hey, I got Kawhi too.
Then you both win.
You can say what you want to, bro. Hey, listen to these 2 championships. He has a Finals MVP and a championship taken away from LeBron. Okay, you can argue whatever option he was on the team. He still got Finals MVP. Hold on. He took one from Bron when he was guarding Bron, and he also led them offensively in that series. Then he also got
16 games.
No, he did not.
It doesn't matter. He did his job. It doesn't matter. He did his job.
John Havlicek has a Finals MVP away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Look, he did his job. And on top of that, Kawhi's the only person that I know. Bron looked over on the sideline and said, damn.
Man, he ain't think that. That's not.
I never went Kawhi.
Hey, and then also too, I know it was some injuries.
Get out of here, man.
I know it was some injuries, but he also got one against the great dynasty of the Warriors. So, oh my God!
Like I said, my list hurt.
There's no way.
He didn't though. Look, 2 Finals MVPs.
Right.
That's it. Defensive player of the year all time. Or
Two
he
of
got
them.
two, right? Or he got one? He got two.
He got two.
Two
of
finals
them.
MVPs, two DPOYs. Nobody
Well,
else got
I
that.
know-
John
I-
Havlicek should have 2 finals.
Oh, yeah, so
I see
Iggy's
that y'all didn't like-
small forward number 5 then all time, I guess.
Nah, he didn't do it
I
twice.
see that y'all
He
didn't
could be
like
top
that
10.
list very much, but like I said, when Ron hit me and said you want to finish the hour on the show, I said I'm gonna get on here and just let my bias show a little bit. You know, I don't. It doesn't have to be right. You know,
Yeah, Lo,
I know that list was biased. But
I got them two. I got those two right behind each other with Pippen and Havlicek. I got those two right next to each other.
Pippen is barely top 10 to me.
Where you guys got Kawhi
Jesus.
top 10? Small
Not
forwards.
in
Do you? He's not in it?
Nope.
I don't even know if I have Kawhi. I don't even think I have Kawhi above Paul Pierce.
I mean, you can make the argument that Kawhi Leonard is a top 10 small forward all time. I think that his body of work, the fact that he didn't really do it that long, that's what's tripping him up. But
yeah, I think his peak is easily top 10, probably top,
yeah,
top
no
5.
doubt.
That's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Though.
no doubt.
When I'm ranking all time like greatest, longevity matters, and
it does. It does.
I don't think Kawhi is just necessarily deciding he just doesn't want to play, which I think you hold against.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Hurt.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
I'm not
Dude,
buying
not
that.
He's a part hurt, but players play when they hurt. So
Listen.
Not hurt. No, my bad. He's injured. There's a difference between hurt and injured.
He played 60 healthy
Players play
games.
through injury too, by the way, big.
I was at half of these games. He played 60 healthy games and missed 22 healthy games in Toronto.
He was a healthy scratch, is what you're saying, Tone. He was good. He could have went out there and played. He was a healthy scratch.
22 healthy games, no injuries, as a choice.
And that's something they agreed on before the season even started.
And yes, I hold that against him.
We already had that figured out.
If he's healthy and he's not playing, then you got to hold it.
That's the whole Toronto season. That's the whole Toronto season.
Yeah, they managed him really well that year. They did.
Absolutely. That's why he should have stayed.
I think he played 55. I think he played 55 games that year, Tone.
60.
Okay, 60 games.
He missed 22 because they went 17-5 while he was out.
Yeah.
So he knew before the season started. Yeah, I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna be hurt this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, he knew they knew that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's greatness right there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this baby up. On the way out, I want to read off my man SSJ Gabe super chat. Shout out SSJ Gabe. He does a lot behind the scenes for us. He says, shout out PC for the 60K. We hit like 50K. It feels like just yesterday, and it does. Shout out everybody that's been on this road with us. Shout out everybody that's going to continue on this road to 200K. Appreciate everybody for tapping in.
Yeah, we had 1,200 more the entire stream.
Yeah.
We still on. Hey, chill. Who's this guy, Uncut Hoops, trying to get famous off you and Ticket?
Uncut Hoops? I don't know.
Oh, some guy on YouTube. Yeah, he made a video about me as well.
Oh, did he?
Let me see.
What do you say about you, Marz?
It's when I said John Moran isn't above like Trae Young and stuff. Yeah. And then he started bringing up field goal percentage and
I saw yours. I saw yours and Ticket. Right. I didn't see yours, Marz. I'll go check that one.
He left out some stuff, like I said, that Jordan did for the rest of the Eastern Conference Championship in '89. From Game 3 to Game 6, Jordan averaged 22 a game that series. I think it was 22 or 23. He left that part out. So the same thing.
No, he put it in. He said it was actually 24.7.
Yeah, so I mean, he left that part.
He got a Ron video too.
Oh, do we? Oh,
he got the Trae Young is better than Luka take. That's what he got it, man.
Oh, damn.
So we got a goofball. Let's say we could get him up here, because I bet you he won't be able to do that if we get his ass in the
behind the camera. He never goes. Never goes.
I bet you his ass wouldn't get in the cooker and do that.
I never understand it. We have like 2 shows here where people can come up here and argue with us. And people like he's making a whole video, but it's not gonna.
Right.
I don't get that.
It is
what it is.
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start clipping your worst takes and then just debunking them. Start my own channel. Yeah, Fluent, baby.
All right, y'all. We out. Catch you at the same time next week.
Ping pong.
Okay.